Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, and I am joined, as always, on this special 52 episode occasion by Matt.
5-2. Yeah.
Connor's here as well.
7.
I want to know why you said this 52 episode occasion and not the 52nd episode. Like, that was just really weird.
Because it's 52, not 52nd, you ginger menace.
I mean, you're right, but it just doesn't work in a sentence.
The real answer to that question is that I've had very little sleep. So if you enjoyed that mistake, expect lots more throughout the what might be a 3-hour plus show, given what we've got to get through. Look in Matt's face. That's right before we started recording, he said to his wife, "I need to sit here for 4 hours. Go away."
That was hyperbole. That was hyperbole.
It wasn't that hyperbole.
Hyperbole.
So I guess that counts as an introduction for Connor. His own fault.
Yeah, he'll do.
He ruined himself. So yeah,
he's gonna be my third favorite ginger we talk about this week.
Oh man. So we talk about DC Comics, and this is a special occasion because this is episode number 52, and of course DC fans know that 52 is a special number for a lot of reasons. 52 Earths, 52 weeks, 52 everything, channel 52, does 52.
Yeah, it really started post Infinite Crisis, is when 52 took off. You know, because our Lord and Savior Jeff Johns. You know.
Yep.
No. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, I'll go with that. Lord and Saviour, that's fine. I mean, he's the one who kickstarted Rebirth, of course, which did save everything. So, you know,
gave us our start doing this.
Yep, I'll accept it.
It's kind of the reason we exist.
Yeah.
Yes, well, as a podcast, not as people.
Well, speak for yourself. I might have told him that when I met him in person. That's why there's a restraining order. But hey.
So special, but to mark that special occasion, at the end of the show, kind of after we've talked about the books and after we've done our weekly picks and all the rest of it, we are going to all give our top 10 DC characters of all time, counting down in order, which proved to be a very stressful task, figuring
from 52.
And you'll get to see me go through the stress a little bit later on because I forgot to think about it. Got busy and didn't do it, so I will be very stressed at my order while they're doing their lists.
So that's coming up at the end of the show. Also, of course, we have all the books, and coming up this week, book-wise, we have The Flash number 22, Teen Titans number 8, Batman 23, Superman 23, Green Arrow 23, Nightwing 21, Green Lanterns 23, Batwoman number 3, Super Sons number 4, and Trinity number 9. That's all the books coming up on this week's show. Also, there's a new perk on Patreon, which we'll be announcing at the end of the show as well, when it's relevant, because it's relevant to the weekly picks at the end. So, cool little new perk on there as well. And we'll also be announcing what book we're doing in week 5, The Trade, which was voted on for patrons. So that's everything coming up in today's show. So it's a big show, big episode. We'll get into it. We do have a little bit of news first. We actually have 2 big news things, but the big news thing is relevant to one of the books, so that will come when we talk about the book.
Didn't stop DC from announcing it before.
It didn't, no.
Okay.
Well, that's
gotta love them.
They know as soon as someone gets their hand on the physical copy that has this at the back of it, it's going to be all over the internet anyway.
That's it. Once Diamond ship out on the Monday night, that's it. It'll be seen. So they might as well put it out on the Monday morning themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of why it did. So the other bit of news was that they announced a bunch of one-shots in August to celebrate what would be Kirby's 100th birthday. So
nice.
We're getting 6 one-shots. Now, I'm pretty sure they mentioned, maybe I can't count, maybe this is me being tired, but this feels like 7 characters or 7 things to me, but they're saying the books are going to be Mr. Miracle, the Black Racer, the Newsboy, Legion, Darkseid, Orion, OMAC, and Manhunter. So maybe 2 of them are going to be together.
Yeah, it says they'll feature characters such as those. It doesn't say they'll all be individual books.
Yeah, well, I mean, they gave us 7, and they said there's 6 books, so I imagine it'll mostly just be those.
I can see the Newsboy Legion teaming up with somebody, because it's kind of their thing. So,
Yeah.
Also,
that's
Mr.
pretty
Miracle,
cool.
Big Barda, Orion, Black
Yeah.
Racer. Those are all new gods, so they could cross over there.
Yeah, and obviously Mr. Miracle's getting his own series coming up in August as well, right?
Written by Tom King.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we spoke about that last week.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember the month. That was all.
Yeah. None of Matt was here though. Matt's like, what,
No.
Mr. Miracle? What's happening?
No, I know about it. I still keep up. I was at Disneyland meeting Darth Vader. Not a fan of the Too Sweet. He no-sold me big time,
Aw.
and then threatened to choke me, but not with the Force. So good times.
But that got very
Sounds
dark. It got very dark indeed. Yeah,
Yes, it
but
did.
this is cool. No word yet on creative teams for any of the one shots, but they've announced them all this week. So
Yeah, well, we'll be getting the solicits for next week or the week after,
it
right?
should be. They'll start. I think they started today pumping out their previews of some of the early ones. So theoretically, it should be. I mean, this is week 3 comics wise now, so it should be Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, it's usually third Monday now, isn't it?
Well, it's been Tuesday a couple of times now as well. So
And that's weird because obviously we record this on a Saturday, and they usually
Spoilers.
Matt, it goes straight up after we do it. It's not like it's a shock.
Oh, they don't have to know. We could be in the.
could be in
almost
the
said the
past. Is that what
Flashpoint.
you say?
Yeah. Technically, we're all in the past and the future at the same time. But we could be in the Speed Force for all they know. They don't know.
I mean,
God, Connor.
sure, but my point was, usually those early ones start coming out on the Friday. It's kind of weird to get them starting on a Saturday.
Yeah. There was one quick batch just before we started recording. We're not going to talk about it. We're just going to leave it for next week because we've got too much in the show anyway, and we'll just do the whole solicits as a batch next week. But assuming they come out before next week, who knows what they're playing at these days. But yeah, so that was the bit of news, which I actually hadn't heard about. I said, there's no news, all in the one thing that goes with the book, and Connor's like, wait, did you not hear about this other thing? And I'm like, no, what's this? And then he linked me, and there it was. I thought it was lying, but it existed.
I feel like I might just do that every week now. Just tell you there's some news and make you go hunt for it. And then maybe you'll find something.
Maybe. Hey, Matt,
What's
do
up?
you want a friendly wager?
Yeah, sure. I'm trying to figure out what books are going to go with what. Because.
All right.
Go ahead.
I want a friendly wager. So, how high do you think Red Hood's going to place on Connor's list at the end of this show?
Number 1, baby.
Damn
I'll
it.
tell you, if you ever disagree with Connor online, you find yourselves in the Mild Fuzz group, and you don't like something he says, just remind him 6 issues of Red Hood jostles the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. All right. So I guess we can get on to books then. So that we'll start us off in Flash number 22. Of course, we'll start off with the big event crossover, which is finishing this week. Nice of them to give us this on week 52 of all places, but
yeah, no, right?
yeah.
That's because Williamson's looking out for us. He knows.
He's a fan.
Yeah. Speaking of Williamson, it is written by Joshua Williamson and art is by Howard Porter.
Not as much Easter eggs as the last Howard Porter issue. Much more straightforward.
Yeah,
Well,
no time for it anymore.
This was the meat. This was the meat at the end. They had things to focus on.
That said, we get something as equally thought-provoking and time-consuming as those Easter eggs. But yeah, Thawne. So, dead is dead with Thawne, right? Like,
For
that dude. Yeah. I just love his
now.
hubris in this issue where we get to see him race to the end, right? And he almost looked like he's at Vanishing Point, which, for longtime DC readers, is where Rip Hunter operates from. It's like the last moment in time of the universe. And it's like this space fortress with all these like asteroid belts around it because time's coming to an end. And he gets there and, oh man, I just love Williamson's voice for Zoom. Well, Thawne in this issue. Just because he's so cocky and so arrogant and he meets his doom. So,
Yes.
yeah. Which we saw in the first issue at the end.
What I think
it's a really nice cycle to this whole story. We start and end with his death.
What I think is interesting about that scene, though, is that when he says, because he's been all cocky, he's been like, oh, well, I'm not like them, no one can erase me. He looks up, and he gets scared, and he says, oh, I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't know. I didn't realise. And I'm like, that sounds like he recognises who it is.
I think there's so much more than what we just think.
Yeah,
is what's going on.
It's not just Manhattan. It can't be.
Yeah, there's no way, because as he said, he's a constant in a sea of possibilities. And I reread this morning because I read it Wednesday morning super early, and so I wanted to refresh. And that line stuck out to me both times. So I'm not saying there's multiple Manhattans, because we've seen that before, but what if there's multiple Manhattan entities? I
don't know. I admittedly, maybe this was a popular theory during the whole Superman mystery, right? But what if Manhattan is the one who's manipulating things, but there's someone whispering in his ear? There's someone else.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue the closing dialogue would lend credence to that idea.
But yeah, we're going to get there. But what? And maybe this is just me, but my first thought goes to Superboy Prime.
And so I've been rereading Infinite Crisis in my spare times, and there's a lot of overlap with a lot of the dialogue that's been in The Button and Flashpoint and this. And Infinite Crisis. I'm getting lost in my thoughts.
And Jeff Johns, of course, I mean, that was his event.
That was his guy. That was his. He used Prime a lot. So, and he's such a good villain because he's twisted. He is very much Manhattan. And what we know about Manhattan is he's this man that became so phenomenal that he lost his humanity, right? That's Superboy Prime to a T.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
All I hope for, though, if it is Superboy Prime, I want him to enter the scene when he finally appears and say it's prime time, baby. I want it so much.
Oh God! But he's adopted the Metropolis Kids look, so he has that stupid earring and high top fade. Like, that's the only way to make that even better.
Oh dear. Of course, Batman and Flash missed this. They arrived there late and they see him dead, and they then go speeding off, and they actually start. The treadmill's basically falling apart, and it's like, oh crap!
It's all wobbly. It's barely keeping together.
We're screwed here, Batman. We're going to die. Is basically what Barry's saying to him, and then we hear a voice.
Yeah, reach out from the Speed Force.
Yeah, and lo and behold, one Jay Garrick appears suddenly out of nowhere.
While Jay Garrick appears.
Exactly. And he gloriously saves them. He like grabs both of them and puts them back into the Batcave at the right time, and it's kind of amazing. And then it mirrors the Rebirth issue. It mirrors that because Jay's been stuck in the Speed Force just like Wally was, and Jay tries to. He's like, Barry, I'm Jay, I'm a Flash, we're friends, so on and so forth. And Barry goes to grab his hand, but it doesn't work. And he just, we get that full page spread of him going back into the Speed Force in pain, being struck by it. And as Barry sort of theorizes, maybe I'm just not the right lightning rod.
Lightning rod. Yeah. Which is interesting because if the JSA has never existed except for, crazy Johnny Thunder in his retirement home, right? Then whoever did this did a really good job at keeping them out. Because with Wally, at least there's always Barry, and there's Iris, and there was Linda to act as a lightning rod. Like, there are multiple ones that Wally could be pulled out through. With Jay, there's really not. Right? Like, and that's the problem.
I mean, if his wife's around, then sure, maybe her, but...
Yeah, but if no one's around from that time, then how do we get them back? It's almost as if we need that Morrison wish machine from Final Crisis to grant them back. You know what I mean?
I would imagine that they'll come back a different way. Like, it'll be a result of, what we're going to talk about in a minute at the end of this book.
I'm sure Johnny Thunder and his genie
are
going to have a lot to do with it, right? Which, when we get to the end, me and Pete talked about this after the big news that came out about this issue and about what this means going forward. And I've been formulating some ideas since then. So, and it doesn't involve the Legion. Surprise, surprise.
I mean, is it not possible Johnny Thunder is his lightning rod? I mean,
I think Johnny Thunder's the lightning rod for all of them.
Can I just point out the not so subtlety in having the lightning rod be someone called Johnny Thunder?
Yeah. That's what I was just getting to. The name,
it makes sense though. Makes story sense and logical sense, and
the idea that he's the only team member still around that remembers them all. Yeah,
and magic outside of Constantine has really been missing from this universe. Right? And so if all he needs is a bit of magic, and I'm not talking like Mxyzptlk type magic, but like Shazam style magic, then, I just think that could be what brings the JSA back. Because it's not going to be... I feel like the way that Wally was brought back, who's ever doing all this, whether it be Prime or Manhattan, they're going to see how that was done and kind of cross it out, not let it be done again.
Yeah. Well, this is actually one of the things... Someone said this to me this week, and I can't remember if it was you, Matt, or if it was just something I was thinking about myself or reading online, but the idea that, well, Superman, other than Kryptonite, obviously, Superman's weakness is magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Does Manhattan also have that weakness? Because in Watchmen, there is no magic. There is no... Right. Everything about him is like physics and science and... Like...
I would have to assume yes, based on, like I say, he is the ultimate physicist, essentially. Yeah. Everything he does revolves around the physics of time and atoms and all that. So
right. And magic,
it just destroys those rules. That's its whole thing.
Because it doesn't make sense. And yes, you can add rules to magic, and there's always a price, and you do that type of stuff. But when you're looking at it, it's not a science.
It has its own rules, but those rules are not beholden to physics at all.
Right. And look, we saw Mxyzptlk get out of his prison, however way that was. So if he was using, even if it was fifth dimensional magic, that fits in line with that. You know? And that could be why Johnny Thunder's the only one that remembers, because he has that tie to magic.
Yeah,
stopped.
Maybe the reason why Johnny Thunder actually remembers and has a connection is because, like, the genie in the pen, like, he's separate from our reality, and even though he can't access it right now, like, he can't get to it, the reason why he still has those memories is because he's connected to this thing that exists outside of our reality and what's been altered and what's been changed and so on. It's kind of like how stuff in the Speed Force can still, like, maybe realize stuff and remember stuff.
And there's, again, tying back to Infinite Crisis, you had the whole thing with the Spectre, and that's what Alexander Luthor had done to shake up the universe, was to make magic unstable. So if you make it unstable, that took out those rules and protections, so he could bring back the multiverse.
Yeah. So I was going to... So Barry and Bruce are like, is this a dead end? And it's like, no, we've got one thing to go on. We're looking for a god.
Yeah. And I love this bromance between Barry and Bruce. Just like, we see it in another book this week. I can't remember which one, because I've read so much. It might be... It was probably Trinity.
I think it's Trinity.
Yeah, it was definitely... Okay. So we see that they're super friendly, and they get along on the level. And I'm going to wait until my dog decides he wants to lay down. He's just going to stare out the window. Lay down! All right.
Dog
I was going to keep talking then. No. He's in a circle. Yep.
This is why it's going to be 3 hours long, because there's just a dog interrupting.
The thunder dog. Anyways, but with Barry and Bruce, it's just I like that they're solving this together, and it's taking both of their minds to figure it out, and it's almost as if this happening's kind of distracted them from what's really going on. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And obviously, the big lasting effects here, at least for Batman, obviously, he heard his father ask him not to be Batman. He said, let that die with us, you know, because he wants his son to have a normal life. He wants him to live and not be consumed by this. And we get this, it goes back to the 9-panel grid, you know, the classic
From
Watchmen
the
layout.
first issue.
Yeah, and again, the first issue, the whole crossover. And the back signal goes up, and Alfred comes up and says, you're not going to answer that. And Bruce just lowers his head. Now, I actually think this actually really nicely plays into this week's issue of Batman. And I think that was planned really nicely to follow on from that. So I'm glad I read this first. And I feel like most people probably did if they care about the DCU as a whole.
Well, it was supposed to come out last week, too, before it got pushed, so...
Yeah, so that's another reason to read it first.
Yeah. But so there's that little sort of moment for... I mean, obviously I don't think he's going to not be Batman anytime soon, but I think the idea that doubt's there, that seeds in his head.
Yeah, I think it's another reason why maybe he'll start looking at his legacy again and what can he do so that he doesn't have to be Batman, maybe. And we'll get into that stuff, and maybe coming up in
that's
Batman.
My
proper.
favorite kind of Batman, right there.
A Batman who's thinking of quitting.
Not thinking of quitting, but what's his legacy?
Yeah, it's not that he wants to quit. It's that he wants to be done. He wants to have succeeded, essentially, where he is needed.
And that's always my take, is that he's trained all these sidekicks to eventually not take over, but to be the new. It's kind of what Nolan does at the end of Dark Knight Rises, right? He's a symbol, ultimately.
Oh, yeah.
And that...
I mean, I always talk about this when we bring that up, is that is the benefit of a movie, or a movie trilogy, is that it's finite. Like, it doesn't have to keep going on forever. Whereas comics, we're always going to have Bruce Wayne around. Even if they give us Dick Grayson Batman for a few years, he's going to come back. We're going to reboot, we're going to reset, and...
Yeah. But it's a break from what we've had for the last couple of years, at least since Snyder's been on him, whereas Batman's Batman because he's Bruce. Like, nobody else can fill that role. And I don't prefer that to this version where he's a symbol, and how can I be the best symbol? How can I inspire the most people to do the right thing? Because ultimately that's why he's Batman, right? He wants to strike fear into criminals.
That's what I loved about the end of that the I Am Bane arc. That final issue with when he's talking to his mother. I loved that issue for that reason.
Yep.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd be down if a year's time, once we've had another couple of arcs, if Bruce is like, no, I'm done, but nobody has to replace him. No one has to become Batman because he's left a solid team, and they're all.
Let's be honest, Nightwing. Damian's gonna put on that suit.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be too big for him.
He will eventually, yes.
Like, I'm talking right now at 13. Let's say he's 14.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
and he's gonna try, and it's gonna be too big, and it's gonna be hilarious.
And it's gonna be like in Tomasi's Batman and Robin. The shot where Damian's a kid. Yeah, he's got the massive oversized cowl and cape on, and it is fantastic.
Yeah. But I like where it's going, and then with Barry, we know his issues with Wally, with both of them, have only gotten more complicated since this issue, through Titans and whatnot. So
so let's talk about the final scene then. Well, actually, there's two scenes really at the end because there's a break. Because one it specifically says epilogue and then does another little thing. So we'll take them one by one. So the first one is we see the button, which is now in this place that Thawne died, because that's where he went and that's where he died. He had the button on him, but the button's lying there, and we get a blue hand. This is the thing. We've talked a lot about who this is, and we've seen the effects of someone being disintegrated, but we've not actually seen them.
First time we've had a hint of actual Manhattan.
Yeah, even when Thawne's being destroyed in this issue, I'd say it maybe doesn't even look that much like Manhattan. It's it's blue, sure, but it looks very smoky rather than anything else. Like the actual bit that's floating above him, not when he's being destroyed. Like the bit that's floating and he's going, oh wait, I didn't know. It kind of looks like some other entity.
I honestly think it is another entity per se. I mean, I expect there is someone else there because Thawne recognises someone, and I think that means something. But I don't think the blue smoke is the entity. I think that's just an atmospheric thing to make us think of Manhattan.
Is. I just mean it doesn't actually look that much like Manhattan when you actually think about it.
Well, if you had any doubts, though, the end of the issue here kind of...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one does not equal the other, is all I'm saying.
So are you saying that Manhattan is a red herring here, and that Manhattan's involved, but he's not the perpetrator?
Yeah, Manhattan is definitely at this place now, picking up the button, but that doesn't mean he was there for Thorn and was that. Like, I'm just saying, one does not equal the other.
What if the big bad is Martian Manhunter, just mimicking Manhattan?
Well, I don't want him to be a villain, so I'd have a bit of a problem with that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. I just thought about it because everything points to Mars since Rebirth. We don't know where Manhunter is. He can easily do different things because he's...
Actually, that's a good point. Maybe the reason why Martian Manhunter has been missing since Rebirth is because Manhattan's on Mars and he's got him trapped or something up there.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, there's
a reasonable thought.
There's so much stuff at play here.
No, I mean, I certainly think there's maybe someone else involved that's not just Manhattan. I do think Manhattan was there, though, because the way he disintegrates looks like Manhattan disintegrating someone.
And always remember, Manhattan's easily manipulated. Like, yeah, he's this big powerhouse of a character, but even throughout the Watchmen series, he's at others' whims, and that's what causes him to leave and go to Mars in the first place.
Yeah, and obviously we get the dialogue here, and where he says everything's preordained.
Yeah, so
responses.
Yeah, it's a specific quote.
He's not choosing to do anything.
Yeah, well, he's not saying this now. This is a flashback to dialogue in Watchmen when he was talking to Laurie in the Moon. I think that was a scene anyway, if I remember right. It's been a while since I read it. And he's talking about everyone's a puppet. Every response is preordained, kind of thing. The only difference is that I can see the strings. I can see the strings on me. As just the dialogue, which does imply. Or at least, I don't know if because even this dialogue, I think, I mean, we're suggesting there's someone else. This implies someone else.
There's two ways it can go.
But I think this dialogue itself could also be a red herring.
Right.
Because
I just look at that as Manhattan was never the one pulling the strings, right? So what if he is now?
Well,
what if he's learned since Watchmen?
I think you could read it that way. I think because like the whole I can see why you would read that and go, oh, this is implying there's someone else controlling him. Right? Mm-hmm. And I think that interpretation is there, but I could also read it as he realised that he was having his strings pulled and he's become greater than that. That's why he's messing with all these realities now. Because in Watchmen,
he's pulling the strings.
Because in Watchmen, yeah, he's doing a lot of big stuff, but he's not completely altering the fabric of realities and playing God to that extent. This is much bigger. Like what he's done with Rebirth and New 52 is much bigger than that.
Yeah, I'd also say there is a third possibility as well. Just the simplest surface level is that he just doesn't have a choice in what he's doing. He sees all of time at once. So he's seen the future, so he's seen that he does this, so he does it.
Yeah, but at the same time,
just doing it because he does.
But if everything's preordained, why mess with Superman the way he did? Why remove Mxyzptlk from the equation if...
Well, that's what I mean. From his perspective, maybe that's just he saw that's what he did, so he did it.
Yeah, but now you've created a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Just to clarify a point you made there, is Mixie, that might not have been Manhattan specifically with Mixie. That might have just been Oz. We don't know if Oz and Manhattan are in cahoots.
God damn it!
Just to be clear, just I want to make that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's just there's layers on top of layers.
Yeah, but it's funny you mentioned Superman, Matt. Let's talk about the epilogue. Because we got a couple of pages. We see the button floating through space, right? Presumably sometime in the future. 9-panel grid as well, may I add. And it alternates with just plain black panels. Yeah, it zooms right in. And then you go to the next page and it's just the red, but you notice there's like almost a texture to it now. And again, it keeps going, it reveals a bit more. And then you realise at the end, it's the Superman emblem, it's the House of L symbol. It looks a little bit beat up, it's got some scratches in it and things like that. And that's it. And there's a little quote. There are poisons that blind you and poisons that open your eyes. August Strindberg said that. I don't know who that is, but
I don't either.
I'm sure that's probably. Obviously, you turn the page again, and it just says, of course, the big announcement: Doomsday Clock, and then the symbol for it, or the logo for it, is the yellow sort of circle for the clock. It's got the last three sort of little dashes indicating,
5 minutes to midnight.
9:11. I'm just thinking about the times on the clock. I have to think about that there. But instead of the 12, it's the S. It's the Superman S, and it's the clock's ticking towards S, which is clearly implying something that we've been saying since Rebirth started. This is all going to come down to Manhattan versus Superman. That's what it's saying.
So
I'm just intrigued to see if, obviously, the clock there is at 2 minutes to midnight.
Mm-hmm.
right.
And I want to see if that's a specific thing. Like, does that mean we've got 2 events still, maybe? Like, we've got this one and then one more to cap it all
Well,
off.
I think that's going super conspiracy. I mean, I like it, but that may just be going.
Just put it out there.
That may be going super conspiracy
tinfoil
theory.
hat.
Yeah.
So this was announced on Monday.
Yeah.
This was the big, huge news.
Well, hold on.
And-
Let me just say the creative team before we go any further, just for full context here, because I
Go
know you're going to want to rave about this in a second. So it's coming in November 2017. It is going to be written by Jeff Johns. We don't know the issue count, but it's going to be written by Johns. Art by Gary Frank.
It's funny because just last week, I think it was, we got news that he was
Frank
just
was
finishing
done.
up the Action Comics
Right.
variants. He tweeted saying he was
Yeah,
on his last one.
Yeah, he's done.
And we were speculating, what's he doing next? We really hope he's doing something. And,
Freaking
well,
Superman.
He's doing the most exciting thing he could possibly be doing. He's doing
So I
the
realize
Rebirth
this now.
event.
This is going to be in November, which is about 18 months since Rebirth started.
Yes.
So is this? You think this is the capper on the 2-year event, or do you think, like Connor said, this is setting up something later at the 2-year mark?
I think that depends a lot on the shipping schedule. Because if this is 6 issues, let's just assume, and if this is weekly, like Just Leave Us Suicide Squad, then I'd expect something else in the summer. However, if this is monthly, that'll kind of bring us to about the 2-year point.
With Frank on art, I would think monthly, but then again, maybe they've got. I mean, because it's Johns and Frank who are not working on other books, maybe they are getting ahead.
Well, that's it. Look,
yeah.
I mean, look how far ahead they've announced it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've announced it. Maybe Frank's already started work on it for all we know.
Yeah, because
he said too that he's about done with Batman Earth 1 Volume 3. So that's.
I mean, Frank
That
can
frees up the schedule.
just about handle a monthly book
Yeah.
in terms of pacing schedules.
Yeah, so let's say he's starting right now.
Yeah.
Just for argument's sake, let's say he's starting right now.
So if
in
he's
May.
doing an issue a month, let's say, because let's say it's 40 pages.
That's even
Right.
that's even exclude May. Let's just start with a fresh full month.
Yeah.
Let's start with June.
June, July, August, September, October, November. He has a 6-month lead time about. I'm not good at math.
Give or
I wasn't
take,
counting.
depending on when it comes out in November and when he starts from now. Yeah, about 6 months.
Needless to say, we are excited about Gary Frank doing this. This is exceptional
Oh,
good
absolutely.
news. I am pumped for this because it revolves around Superman and the whole idea that the crushingly cynical logic of Manhattan versus the optimism and shining of Superman is the perfect fight to have here. It's just.
I feel like Manhattan is the Zack Snyder stand-in, and I could not be more excited. There's also a Dr. Frankenstein kind of deal because Johns does, he's in charge of creative, right? And he's kind of let Snyder do whatever he wants with the movies. And people, it's ruined optimism for a lot of people in the movies. So I feel this is Johns going, I'm going to make it right. I'm going to make it right the best way I know how. And that's through comics. Because, I mean...
He's looked at it and go, movies are a lost cause. I can't do anything, but I can say I can do comics.
Well, they're at least a lost cause until Snyder's Justice League is...
Until the
off.
sky becomes red.
That's too
and
far away.
There's a
still.
crisis.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, and
well, we also got November, so the biggest
That's a
thing
good
I'm looking
point.
forward to in November is not Justice League, which it hasn't been in a very long
Doomsday
time.
Clock.
It's Doomsday Clock.
Han, what are the chances? Just in case we get too excited, what are the chances that Doomsday Clock is actually just a clock with Doomsday on it?
I'd still be more excited for that than the movie.
That's fair.
Me too. But Johns has also said that the title had shifted from The Doomsday Clock to just Doomsday Clock, and it doesn't involve Doomsday, although the word choice is deliberate, right? But people are thinking Manhattan's gonna meld with Doomsday.
Oh
and that's how
yeah,
he's gonna
I mean, I cracked a joke, but I never thought for a second that Doomsday himself was
I've
going
seen
to
it.
be involved.
I've seen it.
I don't get
The
that. I
internet's
mean,
a place sometimes.
It's just,
the Doomsday Clock is such a thing, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so relevant to Watchmen as well.
Exactly.
yeah, it is what it is. I clearly what I think this is I think in the event, like Superman and the heroes are going to fight him because they're realizing that whatever the plan is, whatever he's weakened everyone for, that plan is about to be enacted. Like whatever the end game from Manhattan and whoever he may or may not be working with.
And this is what I'm starting to think too, is that if Mr. Oz is Ozymandias, Adrian Veidt, then he is working in opposition to Manhattan. Because we know he was trying to strengthen Superman. We know that from early on.
Yeah, that was the whole point of the Doomsday thing, right? Exactly. Right at the start of action was he wanted Superman to think smarter.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I think, if it is, even if it isn't Ozymandias, like, I feel like, he's in opposition.
Yeah. Maybe it's not Ozymandias, but he's taken that name as like a respect for him. Like he's gone, you were the one who would fight against.
What if it's Rorschach?
Well, Rorschach technically should be dead.
And he's learned. He got blinked out of existence, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but like timey-wimey, whatever.
I can't see Rorschach becoming that. I could see maybe Night Owl like doing it.
Yeah, I could.
Like, there's just so many of this that makes you want to reread Watchmen, which I wasn't a big fan of. I understand. This will be my.
I think I will before this. I think before Doomsday Clock. In fact, I'm going to say it now. I think as I think a bonus thing we're going to do before Doomsday Clock is we'll do a Watchmen.
So I will say that I respect Watchmen as an art, as a piece of art. What I don't like is what it did to comics and how self-serious it tended to make certain things.
Yeah. It's the same sort of thing as like the Blair Witch Project, where the thing itself is really good and it's what it does, but its legacy kind of taints it.
Well, not even that. I feel like the legacy of Watchmen, as a story, because of how Moore wrote that, it does great because it works with all the different mediums, not just comics. Because like there's prose in there, like you get the history of Night Owl, and you get Rorschach's record and whatnot, and that was just all supplemental stuff at the time, which was weird. And then you get the Black Freighter story in the back of all of them, and that adds to the whole thing. And I like what it did there, and it made comics like this serious art form that wasn't just, superheroes and bright colors. It played with that gray there. But it also, it made like stuff grim and gritty cool. And this is how we have to do. This is what sells.
Well, that's everyone tried to copy it, and it's not its fault that it was very good at what it did. It's everyone else trying to chase it.
It's not Christopher Nolan's fault that Warner Brothers are trying to somehow make another dark and gritty DC movie when they don't understand why that worked.
Even then, you go back and watch the Dark Knight movies, and they're not dark and gritty. Like, sure, they're dark, and they have a reality to them, but
you know what I mean, Matt? I think it's unfair to blame Watchmen.
I know, but I feel like with the movies, I feel like the wrong director got the wrong message. Right, and I feel it's on the director who they gave free reign to, kind of like.
I like how I mentioned the movies briefly, and Matt's spinning right into that. He's I'm going
to. He just wants any excuse to shit on Snyder.
Because he's also responsible for the Watchmen movie, which kind of fell on its face. Right, that should have been like one of the hugest things to adapt.
I mean,
although it should have been an HBO miniseries, right? And you try to cram all that stuff into 2 hours. Well, 3 hours.
I quite like the long cut of it, whatever it's called. The one that's like 3.5 hours or whatever that is. I think that's a pretty decent movie.
But again, that's where the grim and gritty. It's on a meta level. The grim and gritty from the Watchmen movie has started to infect his other superhero movies that you could argue don't need it. That's just there because that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, it's the only thing he knows how to do.
Right.
Well,
so again, I feel like
this. Do that well, but
this is a response to that. This is a man who lost his humanity by becoming the most powerful being in existence versus an alien who has become the peak of what it means to be human.
And Zack Snyder got too much power and didn't know what to do with it, and he just got lost.
Wow. He's learning very hard. what happens? You get your second movie taken away, But yeah, it's very exciting. To have Superman be given this pedestal, to have Jeff Johns going, no, this is the one that the Manhattan is basically picking a fight with, right? or vice versa. Is Superman going to be picking the fight with Manhattan?
I think it'll be Superman
and that's why
picking
I feel
the fight.
this issue of
honestly,
well,
I think it'll be Superman picking the fight because I feel like Manhattan's going to underestimate him. I feel like he'll think his plan, his like weakening them, is have worked. Not a threat, nothing to be. And I think ultimately what the story's going to be about, it's going to be about the human spirit overcoming this logic, and it'll be the heart of Superman and the heart of the heroes
it's going
that
to be
wins.
Superman, not on his own. It'll be Superman inspiring the universe to stand against Manhattan.
And that's what you want, because what does that symbol mean?
Yeah,
it means hope, and we've lost sight of that throughout this. And the night's always darkest before the dawn.
Joe, what I will say about this is obviously I think before this got announced we were thinking, alright, so the next Rebirth event is Metal. That's the next thing, and then we'll get something else a few months later. This is starting like 2 issues into Metal.
Well, yeah, I mean, even when Metal was announced, they were saying it's kind of this different thing where it's spinning off into different corners of the universe and exploring different things.
I like that. I like that we can have both.
Oh no, it's good that we can have both, but now it really does feel like, that's just its own, weird and wacky.
Tied to Rebirth.
Yeah, this isn't a Rebirth event. This is just a specific thing like they're doing. This is
what I'm wondering, right? If we're tracing from Rebirth to what was the next big thing? Was it the Superman Doomsday story, or was it Justice League versus Suicide Squad? What was the next big story there?
That depends what you count, I suppose.
Yeah, in terms of actual event story things, technically Suicide Squad. Because Doomsday was just the first arc of action, right?
Yeah.
Right, but I mean,
I would say that
in the Rebirth narrative, I'd say that, and then you've got the stuff with in tech with Tim.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then you're looking at Reborn, and then the Button, and now this.
Doomsday
but I don't
Clock,
think this is the crown jewel. I think we're gonna have one more big thing coming up.
After this?
That's up. After right before Doomsday Clock, I feel.
I don't think there will be. I feel like the reason why this is the one that's ending with this big tease is because this is like, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like I'm not saying there's going to be no Rebirth hints before Doomsday Clock.
I'm talking something along the lines of the Tim story, in that gets
right,
there.
I could see that, but I don't think there's going to be another. I mean, I can see there being like a countdown to Doomsday Clock, maybe the month before.
Yeah, I can see it like maybe before Doomsday Clock starts, we have like Batman going on a mission to get Tim back, and that'll be like a part of the road to Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, but it'll be a prelude rather than a separate thing, I'd imagine.
Yeah, because when it gets
I'm just
that
looking
close, might as well.
at how the beats of the story go in the long run of DC, and that this really is the 2-year plan, and it's been executed so well. Like I'm so proud of DC right now. To come from where I was at the New 52 a year ago to this now, like, as a DC fan, it makes my heart happy. So
I cannot agree with you more. It's exciting, it's encouraging, it's all these things. And I think obviously we've been saying, when's JSA and stuff coming back? I feel like this is probably the thing that's going to spin out into, like, I mean, we kind of called Batwoman and Super Sons and that, like, Wave 2. I don't know if that really was. I feel like that was just, like, the next part of it, Wave 1.
Yeah, 1.5.
Yeah, I feel like Wave 2 is what comes out of Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, I do too.
So
because we have the Legion stuff to pay off still, we have the Just Society stuff to pay off. We still don't know where Shazam is. That was another thing I talked to Pete about. What if Shazam's involved with the whole magic?
We did see him once. He was in Constantine, I think, the first Hellblazer issue.
He was?
Yeah. It was him in Wonder Woman. It's the one thing I remember of that issue because I got excited because Shazam was in it.
Are you sure that wasn't part of the new talent showcase?
Yeah, I thought it might have been the new.
Because that was all I was.
Nah, I'm sure it was. I mean, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure Shazam. Yeah. It was Shazam and Wonder Woman meeting up with.
Well, anyways,
him for some reason.
Last time I've seen Shazam or Captain Marvel, Billy Batson, whatever you want to call him, the Wizard, was with Gary Frank and Jeff Johns in the backups of Justice League. So, I just feel like they're saving him for something. And if we can get Captain Marvel / Shazam with Superman versus Manhattan in some way,
do you know that's a point? Those backups never really paid off anywhere, did they?
No.
Like the whole point was let's introduce Shazam and you set it up ready, but it never really paid off.
And it was great as well.
Yeah, just into it added him to the Justice League just in time for the Trinity War, and then Forever Evil. But since then, he's fallen off the map. I mean, we don't know. I mean, he was the god of gods in Darkseid War, but still, he's really not this prominent character.
Even in like that whole in that Justice League book, he never really was part. Even when he was part of the team, he wasn't. He never had anything real to do at any point. No. There was never any story that revolved around him.
Nah. So, no, maybe he'll be prominent. Maybe he'll come into it in Doomsday Clock. I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. For these new books, it makes sense to have the Legion come through Superman and this event. These things just make sense.
They're tied to him.
I feel like if I was to make a prediction, I feel like both the Legion and the JSA will show up in either the last issue or the second last issue of the event, because while Superman and the main players are fighting in Manhattan, there'll be chaos in the streets and they'll need like reinforcements, and it'll be when Johnny Thunder finally can be the lightning rod to everyone else.
I think they show up with Superman. I think his whole thing will inspire them. They'll suddenly remember and come out. Whatever. Maybe he'll be the lightning rod.
Well, I feel that's why she's stuck. Saturn Girl's stuck because without the Superman to inspire that generation, there's no Legion. So if you have this dark world where it starts because the hockey players killed each other, or the one hockey player killed the other guy, right? And that's what she's freaking out about. If it gets that dark that Superman... dog and cat fight. But if it gets that dark that he can't inspire, then there's no Legion. There's that future's gone. And that's why Emerald Empress is stuck and Saturn Girl's stuck. And then, because that's all what the Legion is. They were all inspired by Superman. So if you have this moment where they come back and they inspire him, and there's like this echo thing, and they help, Yeah. Yeah. I can see it both. I also wanted to see Wildcat just punching people. Just show up with the Justice Society. Just knocking out bad guys. Because Ted Grant's awesome.
I expect some, proper standing ovation moments. Nonetheless. It's just what Johns does in his events. He always has them at various points.
Yeah.
I can see it. Alright, I guess that wraps up the Flash 22, which...
That's one issue, guys!
We knew that was going to last a long time, though.
8 more, 9 more to go, whatever it is.
Yeah, but we don't have to go in depth as in depth, because that was our news, and that was that, and then we have our top 10s at the end.
Yeah, technically that was a book and a big news item.
In the news.
So that's fine. That kind of.
So next book, Superman stuff happens, and then we get the next issue. There's a resolution. All right. Batman. Swamp Thing's called Brave the Mold.
Very funny about it. Yeah, you're actually delaying things by doing your bit.
I know.
Alright, that'll take us on to Teen Titans number 8, our other crossover that's just got started. Just got started last week. We're in issue 2 of it now. This has got Benjamin Percy, Dan Abnett, and Christopher Priest all listed on the issue as writers, and Khoi Pham on art. So, this was the second part. This was kind of... it brought in the Teen Titans. Obviously, Damien's like, our Kid Flash is missing as well. And it's like, oh wait, I've been monitoring the Titans. Let's go talk to them because they're flashing.
I love that. Love that Damien has stuff set up at the other Titans tower because he's Damien.
Yeah, he does. Of course he does.
Yeah, that's just who he is. We see Slade kind of pretend to have car trouble to get close to young Wally and kidnap him, and that's kind of it. It was basically really mostly all on the teams like trying to figure out where they are and going to find them, and maybe teasing a little bit more of this. Dick had an agreement with Deathstroke about something. We don't get to know what it is. He admits that he had one, but we don't get what the final sort of thing was.
Because he had to do what was best for everybody, and that's what was best for everyone.
Yeah. So Deathstroke basically tries to convince New Wally that if he goes back in time, if he helps him go back in time and save his son, save Grant, it'll change so much other suffering. He will stop being Deathstroke. All this will end. All the rest of it. And New Wally actually kind of agrees, but he actually basically just tricks him into being jump-started. So Slade somehow has stolen some of his Speed Force connection.
Well, it has to do with the Icon suit and the gravity sheath. With working in conjunction with the Speed Force. Generally, I don't think it's permanent, right?
Not at all. It's temporarily harnessing the kinetic energy, isn't it?
I do want to point out a really nice moment is when just before Wally agrees, or just after he's agreed, there's a great moment where there's a shadow of him on the wall, and it's like he's uncle/father reverse Flash kind of.
Yeah, I noticed that. It was nice.
It's a nice little touch. Obviously, a big thing in this issue for young Wally is that he feels like he can't trust anyone, because not only did Barry keep the fact that he was Barry a secret, not only did his father turn out to be it was his uncle. He thought it was his uncle. Turned out to be his father. Also turned out to be a raving lunatic that was a supervillain.
And dead.
And now he's found out there's a second Wally that's been kept from him. And Slade lied to him about who he was. He just feels like he can't trust anyone.
So I'm glad that they didn't try to make this Wally Bart Allen 2.0. That he is his own character. He is young Wally, and he's gonna have the trust issues, and which is different from any other Flash, as far as I've ever read. So I do like that.
Yeah.
My big negative with the story is I'm a little bit disappointed in it for what it is, because being such a fan of the Deathstroke book, and I talked to Connor about this earlier in the week, is this does not feel like pre-Slade. And I don't mean just how it's written, I just mean it feels like a completely different character.
No, yeah, it was kind of my problem. I mentioned it last week, how it just brushed over all the events of that book. It's like, oh, he's not blind anymore, that wedding stuff, it doesn't matter. It just kind of picked up with this story. And I feel like it's exacerbated in this one, where it's just to an extreme now, where I don't understand why this Slade's in this mindset, given where he was when we last saw him in his book. It doesn't make sense to me.
Because I don't get, we haven't had any Grant moments in
we would just get into that.
Far. Yeah. We know that he fought the bear for his sons, right? But he's had a much more complicated relationship with Joey than he did with Grant. It seems like Grant was just the hothead that went off and got himself killed, and now Slade's feeling guilty about it, but still,
is it possible? I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
'Cause I've not read the last few issues of Deathstroke yet, so I'm not quite in the same place as you two in terms of feeling this way. I don't doubt that you're right though. But is it possible that in the next issue, because next issue is Deathstroke, next week's issue is the Deathstroke issue. Yeah. Is it possible that that's got maybe some flashbacks to just before this arc that maybe sets up why he's doing this?
I hope it does a lot. In the same way that, this issue opened with, it went back and showed us how Wally was involved, young Wally.
Yeah.
I hope that this does the same in Deathstroke, where it goes back to the end of the wedding and tells us, right, from there, why does Slade do this? What causes this?
Because after all,
the story...
I was going to say, after all, the way Priest tells his story, he likes to jump around quite a bit and, give you parts out of order. So, even though this one feels a little bit more jarring because it's in a crossover, it's different writers involved, and it maybe doesn't feel like it connects the same way because the tone's a little bit different, maybe it'll kind of click together once you get the full puzzle.
Yeah, it might. It fits in with the Judas contract stuff. This is a Slade that I'm familiar with from reading Teen Titans, and John's Teen Titans, and watching the TV show. The ones that's at constant odds with them. But from the guy that we got recently, it's so weird to be him so focused on Grant just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It makes it hard to read his part of the story, which I like the rest of it. I like the rest of the Titans having to come to terms with Dick, keeping stuff from him, and then...
I liked all the fun banter between the various members, the
whole rooftop sequence.
The whole rooftop sequence is fun. Donna holding up Damien, and then Beast Boy trying to grab him back, and then some of the other stuff Donna and Starfire being like, "Oh, we should be running these teams," and just all the little exchanges between the counterparts as well, Tempest to Aqualad, so what, are you Atlantean or something? And he's like, I don't really know what.
You trying to replace me? Yeah. It was.
It's when Damien shouts Titans together, and they're like, really?
Yeah, can he do that?
Did he just actually do that?
Yeah. So no, that's obviously we end with them finding the Wallies, and Slade's got some Speed Force powers, and new Wally's like, oh crap, I'm sorry, that was my bad. I really shouldn't have helped him.
That Speed Force sword is cool as shit, though.
It is.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, I like the art as well. I've been quite happy with the art on Teen Titans throughout with Khoi Pham. My only one sort of minor criticism is I think he's Slade without the mask is a little bit weird. Maybe it's just because I'm so used to seeing him in the Deathstroke book, and it's such a different. Because I feel like Teen Titans has a much more youthful kind of cartoony look to it. So Slade feels kind of out of place in that sense because I'm used to him looking really serious and grim and like part of this dark book.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. But it's a minor thing, but there's maybe the one thing that stuck out to me in that sense.
I mean, it was enjoyable. Other than everything I'm reading of it, I'm just disconnected because of how separate it feels from Deathstroke. Which, out of the 3 series, is probably the one I've been enjoying the most, and it's the one I'm most invested in. So, it feels like the Titans and the Teen Titans feels very much in line with it. But the Deathstroke stuff just feels so divorced that I'm reading it disconnected because of that.
I wonder if that's just a symptom of because Priest is writing such a non-superhero book.
Style of book. Yeah, it is possible.
Yeah. So maybe once you start crossing them over, it starts to feel like it's jarring with the styles a little bit.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, that's Teen Titans though, so we got through that much quicker than the 40-odd minutes we went on.
Yeah, right.
On Flash. So we'll look forward to the next part next week. Hope you are too. Next up, Batman number 23, Tom King writing, Mitch Gerards on art. It's called The Brave and the Mold, as Matt pointed out earlier, which is a really fun pun.
It is.
And this is a little sort of kind of murder mystery. That this guy gets killed, and it turns out that it's actually Swamp Thing's biological father. He never really spoke too much. He met him like once, I think they say in the book. And
the stepdad raised him as his own,
So Swamp Thing shows up in Gotham to this crime scene, out of something on the table. I guess it was like a small plant or something on the table.
Yeah. But you can do that when you're hooked into the green.
Yeah. It was nice. I think the thing that sticks out to me most about this issue is how much I'm starting to really appreciate Mitch Gerards as an artist, because the other 2 that he did a while back were really good.
The thing that stands out to me the most is how much Tom King loves Kite Man.
Oh no, that's great as well. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah! That's how I read it as he's falling.
It's the only way I'm gonna read Kite Man from now on. Every time someone says Kite Man, I just go hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only response.
He's great. I love it. I love this running.
I'm loving
gag.
King on these smaller issues like this. Like even the Rooftops, which I had some problems with, just because of how his relationship between Catwoman and Batman is for me. But there's full of great small little moments around Gotham. This had the same, and with like Gordon interacting with Swamp Thing too.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
That's pretty fun.
Or even Alfred like sweeping up, like because he's getting annoyed because there's so much like just plants and bits of twigs and stuff around the house.
And remind me, there is a scene with Swamp Thing in the Batmobile, right?
There is. Yeah, because there's a great exchange. He's like, why do you even need a car? He's like, why do you need a body?
Yeah.
He's like, good point.
Yeah. John, I love the format of this, where it's split into the chapters that last, page, 2-3 pages, whatever each one. They're vary in length, but
it really makes it feel like a one-shot story.
Yeah, he really manages to break down like this is a complete story in 20 odd pages, and it feels like it has multiple parts because of the way it's structured.
Actually, I want to talk about the Kite Man scene, not just for the same reasons why we love it, because this Kite Man running thing is great.
Yeah.
But the actual momentum of, because Batman basically, because they figure out that someone had to come through the window because this guy was murdered so many floors up
on the 84th floor.
Yeah, and this gives them the idea that either if Kite Man himself wasn't involved, that maybe he gave his kite to someone. And
maybe he was just flying around and saw what happened.
Possibly. But he basically jumps on him and they're on free fall. and Swamp Thing like sort of prepares like a net for them. But Batman's interrogating them as they're free falling through the air, and the whole thing is just gorgeous, and just there's so much like speed and momentum as they're going down. I loved it. I love the color scheme as well. It's all these like sort of blues and greens. It's a very sort of, it's kind of like the cold concrete of the city mixed with the greens of Swamp Thing. It was quite a nice thing.
They clash, but they go together really well too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because for example, you mentioned the scene in the Batmobile. The exterior shots are all really blue, but the interiors are all really green. And I guess that's because they're in a close space with Swamp Thing, and he's making the whole place.
That also happened even on the variant cover. I think it was the sale. It's the top half where Swamp Thing is all green, where he's brought in, and the bottom's kind of blue, where Batman is, and it's like this meeting of the worlds just in the colours. It's great.
Yeah, obviously it ends. They find the culprit, and Swamp Thing, despite promising he wouldn't, actually immediately just kills the guy. He like puts vines and stuff in him and just takes him apart. Batman tries to like yell at him.
Grows flowers out of his eyes, and it is gloriously horrific.
And obviously,
it's almost like he couldn't control himself.
Yeah, and obviously Batman's pissed at him. And this is why I said this is a kind of a neat follow up to how the button ended, is because Swamp Thing's all, my father, you don't understand, and like my father sent me letters, I never read them, and Bruce is like, do you know who I am? I have the monopoly in this city on tragic parent deaths and dealing with it. I did the whole, the simple connection of the letter as well.
I think it goes one step further than that. It goes back to, obviously, that story that Swamp Thing told him about how the reason he wasn't mourning is because he's still alive in the green. It's there is an afterlife because he is that afterlife, essentially.
Oh, yeah, because he even talks about how anyone who dies, they go into the dirt and they almost live again in a different way. They contribute to life.
Right, exactly. Right. And when it turns out, no, he is upset, he is emotional, and that is this. That isn't comforting enough for him. Batman, it's almost like for the duration of this issue, he's bought into this thing. That's where his parents are, and it's like, okay, his parents are in a better place, and it's helping him cope with that. But then seeing Swamp Thing just be like, no, it's not actually important. It was just something I was telling myself. Kind of breaks Bruce a little bit, where he loses it so quickly.
Yeah, well, he calls him a coward, and I think the whole idea that Batman, up until this, where he's kind of maybe believing this for this issue, has always fought against just giving into his emotions. He's he doesn't take the easy way out. He doesn't just kill it. But Swamp Thing believes this thing, and then immediately, as soon as the feelings overtake him, he just throws it all away and just does exactly what Bruce has fought against his entire life.
Yeah. But it's that moment where Bruce says to him, you have to tell me that my mother and father are falling back into life. He's so desperate to cling to some notion of a quantifiable afterlife, something where they are there somewhere.
Yeah, but of course, because of the thing he just went through, where he's seen his father, and he's all these doubts and feelings have came back up for him, and now he's going through this story. It just everything just nicely ties into where he is in terms of his character arc right now. It just
definitely
very neatly.
He's vulnerable.
Yeah, it's funny because I think you go, oh, there's going to be a one shot, between the arcs where it's him and Swamp Thing. I think there's a 2-issue wrap up to the Bane thing next before we get to War Joke and Riddles. But you're oh, it's a one shot with Swamp. Oh, it'll be a fun little thing. It won't connect to anything overall. But no, sure enough, it thematically links right in.
Yeah, absolutely does.
So, any further thoughts?
Love the art again. Gerards is great.
Yeah, beautiful.
I think we said it when he was on Rooftops, and we just praised it so much. And I do think it worked a little bit better for Rooftops. The Dark Knight, the romantic story, compared to this, where it's still very good. I think it works a little bit better for that other stuff.
I think it works for both. I probably agree that the Rooftops one works a little bit better, but I feel like here, because it's a somber mood, I think it... Oh yeah, it still works. Yeah. Just not quite as well as the sad romanticism of the Catwoman story just added this extra bit for the art for me. Okay. Alright, that'll take us on to Superman number 23, Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason writing, Doug Mahnke on the art. And you know what? I actually, when I was taking down the names for this, I actually triple checked that there wasn't another artist.
No, yeah. I just did the same as well. I think it's the Incas. I really
There's
do.
3 inkers, including Mahnke himself.
And I'm blaming one of those inkers. I don't know who's the odd one out, but something is different with Mahnke's art in this issue. It is not up to standard.
Well, I think it's inconsistent in the issue itself. I think there's 3. I think it's 3 double-page spreads or double-page layouts in the middle, and I think they look pretty rough, especially the last one. And not even just the art. I think the layouts are a little bit overstuffed. It was kind of reminding me a little bit of those Superwoman issues we complained about, where there was too many panels on some of the pages and things like that.
Yeah, but there's pages early on. If you go to the page after the credits title sequence, you've got Clark at the bottom saying, "I don't care what you call me." It's his close-up on his face. I think it looks really ugly. But then you go to the next page, and it's at least the top half of the page, that stuff looks pretty great. I don't get it. It's so inconsistent.
Yeah, it really is. I think so. Yeah, I think that was obviously the one main problem we all seem to share. I had another couple of little problems. I think this was maybe a bit of a misstep of an issue in some ways. I think there's nothing wrong with a lot of the ideas. I think some of the execution is a bit flawed.
I think Superman's voice is actually a bit off at the start of the issue. I think it's really, we're cutting back between him and Lois, and he's like, "Oh, I can't take a chance smashing the stasis tubes until I have a better handle on it." And there's all these bits where he's kind of talking to himself, and it's the sort of thing we normally get in the narration boxes, and him just saying it to himself just feels weird. It doesn't feel like this is the Superman we've been seeing for the last year.
It has a bit
No,
odd.
but I feel that's by design because of what's going on, what's revealed at the end.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Just because that's how that character works. Because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, no,
off the bat.
we'll get to that in a second. And I think if you've got a problem with some of the events in this issue, that might be something that's rectified when we find out more about what's going on and what's causing what and things like that. So I don't want to maybe go too much on that, barring one or two couple of things. The complaints I'll have about all the stuff that happens, though, because he comes up and Cobb's with Lois and he fights Cobb a bit, and that's when he sort of loses his temper. Then they fly off to the town because there's monsters showing up and he has to try and deal with that. And that's where we get to all these double page layouts, where it's, there's like 3 in a row.
Yep.
I didn't think these pages flowed together very well at all. There was moments where I had to go back and look at the last panel to just understand what just happened. There was no real flow to it. The whole thing was just kind of rough. The art didn't look that great, and it felt almost really random to a point. And I kind of obviously I get who this team of characters, like these people have been pretending to be the sheriff, the doctor, whoever else in the town. I get who they are.
Not pretending, they were. Like this is what gets me the whole time. There was really never any hints about this. Like all we'd gotten was Cobb. Like it wasn't until this arc that we got that. Oh, the police chief's a little off and the mayor's a little off.
Yeah.
Even in like the fair issue, you could have seeded it there a little bit.
I guess the earliest was maybe with the Frankenstein issue with Lois when she was doing her little bit. There might have been little bits there.
With the women, because that woman's one of them,
Yeah.
But she was an alien,
That's true.
That's true.
So, but yeah, that's my main problem with it. I like where it goes, but
I like
Pete said, the execution here.
Yeah, I like kind of the idea that's behind it all. I think some of the execution is off, and I also think the moment that happens with Lois at the end of this big action sequence, where something randomly flies off a monster and takes off her leg, it just felt really random and forced for shock value. It didn't feel like it built up to it. It didn't feel like they played it like a proper moment where it was the focus of what was going on. It was just like, oh, here's another random thing that's shocking.
Probably because it hasn't really happened.
I agree, but this is the thing, is even if it hasn't really happened, they should still play it like it is.
No, I agree. It's the reason they're probably not is so that when you get to the stuff at the end, you go, oh, maybe it didn't happen. You look back at it and go, oh, that's why. I think that's the intention, but I don't think it works.
It doesn't work. And I've seen some people this week online where they felt like Lois had been kind of mistreated. It was just this kind of random thing where she's just hurt, like without a chance of even... Because so far Lois has been a very strong character in this book. Even at the start of this issue, she's like trying to fire blasts off to Cobb and stuff. And here it just kind of feels like, oh no, random thing, legs off. Vulnerable as hell, kind of thing.
I mean, I'm going to argue against it a little bit in the sense that it's random. I don't think she was mistreated in the sense there wasn't anything she could do against it. That was kind of the point, and that's the thing there for her.
But that's the problem though. It's poorly told and not built up properly, so it doesn't feel like it's an earned story point. It legitimately feels random and in a really unsatisfying way. It feels like it's just there for shock value and to make her vulnerable, so that Superman has to care about it, and so John cares about it. Because that's the whole thing here, is that it's manipulating more John than it is anyone else. Because we find out at the end, we get hints of it throughout the issue that someone's with John. John's captured and watching these events unfold. It turns out the villain that's with him, who we kind of obviously we knew this because it leaked a couple of weeks ago, and we didn't mention it on the show because spoilers, and it wasn't public knowledge. It wasn't supposed to be public knowledge anyway.
Yeah. We talk about it if it's in actual official news articles, solicits, whatnot.
Yeah.
But if it's a leak.
But this was Manchester Black is the villain behind all this, and he wants obviously has a very different idea as to how to be a hero and how to protect the world, and it's more hands on and less about hope than Superman is, and he's trying to groom John to become what he thinks Superman should be rather than what Superman is, and that's fine. I did think the leg taking off was just really shock value.
Oh, it is shock value, but I think I like it from John's perspective because that's his mom. That's that's the person he cares about most in the world.
Yeah.
And he
couldn't do anything to stop it.
Yeah, and he sees this horrific event.
That's a fine idea. I just think the execution's kind of garbage. I
had to go back and double check because of what had happened. Because I didn't know if Superman had caused that from fighting the creature.
Yeah, I'm still not entirely sure.
So, but we know that this milk and stuff induces hallucinations and whatnot too, because we've seen all that with John down in the swamp and whatnot.
No, I mean,
I can't trust anything that I'm saying.
I wouldn't be surprised if absolutely everything in this issue is just something that John's seeing and nothing else.
Yeah. I would,
and that makes sense to why. That's what he thinks his dad's saying. There's.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if that is in John's head as well, then I guess I can excuse it a bit more. It definitely explains why there's no narration boxes, because he wouldn't hear a narration box.
Right.
So yeah, I can buy that.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I think it all just comes down. I mean, obviously there's some problems with the art, but I think even just from a writing perspective, the execution here is really kind of off, and it doesn't quite fit. And obviously, this has been a great run pretty much throughout, so it's not like I'm not worried now. Okay, they've had one misstep. I'm sure we'll be back on track in an issue or two. Even if the rest of this arc is a little bit off, I'm sure get to the next one, we'll be fine.
There were flaws in the art and the story and whatever, but there's still some pretty cool moments. Like when Superman finds out Lois is in danger from Cobb and flies up to the ground, and he surfaces and his eyes are glowing red, and he's ready to mess some people up. I really like that. I thought that.
It was okay. Really cool. I thought the first few pages and then maybe the last page were the standout
the
moments.
Designs of the super elite and stuff. I'm just like, okay, it's all coming from out of nowhere. I'd rather just had them been big monsters. Than just not the super elite, but just these big monsters coming from out of nowhere, and if they're all just Manchester Black, just messing with everybody, that's it. And how does Frankenstein play into this? And I'm sure all that will. It was just an oddly paced issue. That's all.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think this was it was a weird misstep of an issue. There was a lot of weird things wrong with it from a storytelling point of view, from an art point of view. I'm not quite sure what happened. Maybe this was rushing an issue out because they were maybe falling a little behind schedule, and this one took the hit. Yeah. I'm not sure, but hey, I'm sure they'll bounce back soon enough. So, that'll take us on to Green Arrow number 23, which is written by Benjamin Percy, art by Johnny Ferreyra, next part of the Rise of Star City. This issue's harder to describe because it bounces between 3 or 4 kind of
everybody.
Scenes. Yeah, it's just it's. I wouldn't say it's unfocused. I feel like it is. It's a very intentional. Everything's been set up for the next part, but it's it is bouncing around a lot of different things.
What cracks me up in the grand scheme of things is you see in comics all the time that like these fictional cities of heroes get destroyed, and then they'll relocate to an actual city for a little while. Like when Nightwing leaves Gotham in the New 52 and goes to Chicago, you're like, oh, okay, that's weird. I guess they exist. And here, it's always been that Green Arrow was in Seattle, so it's weird to see these places I've actually been to show up in a comic book and are getting destroyed. You know, the airport and the Space Needle and just all this. It's just, I don't want to say weird again, but I can't find another word. And so I like that Percy's doing that. I like that he's telling a different kind of superhero story that is a classic story.
Well, if Seattle's going to become Star City, like taking away its one monument everyone recognises, like you look at the skyline of Seattle, what's the one thing it makes it Seattle? It's that Space Needle. Boom, that's gone. All right, it's not Seattle anymore. Might as well name it something else.
So it's just the fact that Star City has never existed in the current universe is weird too.
Yeah, that is a bit weird, but hey.
Yeah, I mean we're getting it, and there's a whole underground city to Seattle as well, so I'm sure that might play in. You know, that they just kind of built over after the fire.
I will say, I always praise Jean Ferreyra's art, but I will say if he wants to keep drawing scenes of people in the rain, he can keep doing it.
Yeah,
I'm okay to keep. You know, every issue he ever draws, if he wants to just have it rain constantly, I'm cool with it.
Also, his arsenal looks pretty great too. Like he makes the hat and glasses look very uniform. You know, it looks like they belong on him. It's not just like he found them on his counter and put them on. Like, so I did feel other artists do that. Here, it makes it just part of the thing. My favorite moment, I think, is between Roy and Emmy talking about the Red Arrow name. He's like, yeah, I haven't had any luck with that name, but you can try.
Yeah. That was one of the threads. The other threads were Black Canary was talking to the reporter who was like investigating all this stuff, and she learned some bits and pieces.
She's got a schoolgirl crush on Ollie.
Yeah, and Dinah's not letting that go. She's keeping an eye on her.
Dinah just being petty to the news girl after getting on Ollie about being petty in the last issue. I love that sense of irony. I mean, granted, they're being petty about different things, but
I think that makes her more of a fleshed out character. It's like a flaw. It's
of course.
You know, like sometimes people are a little bit hypocritical, or like it's depth.
Deep down, she does love Ollie, and that's why she got so frustrated with him and the decisions he's made. So to see this other woman kind of be like, oh yeah, Ollie, he saved my life. It's pretty great.
So that was that plot thread. Obviously, Ollie himself is sort of discovers, the base has been burned down, and where's Fife? He does not know. In fact, probably my favorite panel of the book is him like on his knees, like in the rain.
Oh.
Yeah, with the glasses, assuming he's dead.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Obviously, we do actually see Fife as well. We see he's with Broderick, and Broderick's trying to like seduce him over to the dark side. Think of all the cool technology you can build with us.
It is. This is the Emperor talking to Luke kind of stuff here.
Which, by the way, I actually really like that page, and I'm sure it's more of a digital effect in Photoshop, but the fact that like the panels are out of focus when he's got his glasses off, and then he gives him glasses, and then they're in focus.
Yeah.
And I thought Percy killed off Fife, and I got super worried. Like,
oh no, there was no body, so I was like, oh, he's not dead. I wasn't expecting to see him this issue. Admittedly, I thought it was gonna save it, but I didn't think there was any danger.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I thumbed through to make sure he was still alive.
Oh,
because had he not, I was gonna have to mourn, and you
just have to wait there and mourn with Ollie.
Yeah, exactly. Which I loved. I love that Ollie was broken by it. Like it really took him off his game. No, which if that's what the message or the mission was, it worked.
Yeah, because
then he just takes it to Eddie Fire.
Yeah, Eddie Fire comes out, shows up. Well, he was already kind of there because we knew he burned the place.
Yeah.
But how many goons are there, and Ollie gets into a fight, and nice big punch spread. I want to point out, actually, just speaking how good characters look in the rain, there's a great panel of Emmy. She's standing in front of Arsenal, and her hair's wet in the pouring rain. It looks great. That's why I'm just looking through it and looking at panels and
Do
going.
you know what I love most about the art in this? It's the layouts that he does with the red and green, like over the whole page. So the first one is the 3 at the bottom, and so you've got the arrow pointing down. Then the next one is the double page spread. You've got the red like an arrow pointing up, and then obviously you have the final one where the actual arrow is the red in the middle.
Yeah.
But I think it's just fantastic. This final 3 pages just works all the same layout.
He kind of how do you pronounce his name, Pete? Ferreyra?
Ferreyra, I say.
Ferreyra.
Yeah.
He's really giving...
It's how Pete's been saying it. Doesn't mean it's right.
It sounds right to me.
But Connor, I say it with confidence, and that's the important part. You sound confident.
Exactly. It's giving you just made me Sorrentino a run. Yeah. That's been my favorite artist on Green Arrow in good some time. And he's given him a run for money for a lot of the same reasons. How cool the layouts look, how well he draws atmosphere and action. And
it's the way they play with color as well.
And also, I want to point out the obviously all the red stuff you were mentioning, all these red and green layouts. The red is like Broderick, like a proper evil businessman playing golf in his skyscraper. Which he has this. Like, I actually didn't notice this until now, but as he's teeing up his golf ball, the Space Needle's in the background, and it's almost like that is the tee.
That's the
Yeah.
It's the target too. He's lining it up.
It's actually a pretty cool touch. I like that because of the shape of the needle, it does actually almost look like a golf ball, like tee. It almost has that shape to it.
So I'm wondering, because they keep bringing up Diggle, so it's not like he wants us to forget about him. You think he comes back with Merlin and kind of helps
save the day?
He's kind of the cavalry.
Does Merlin come back and go, "Hey, I used to be Ra's al Ghul," and then saves the day?
Poor Connor's liver.
You say that, but Malcolm Merlin's probably the best part of the show.
Yeah. That said, one of the new rules we had a couple of weeks ago, because do you remember in season 3, so about season 4, they were saying the word bloodlust a lot. Like it was like every episode.
That's when I stopped watching.
Yeah.
So
there was like Thea every episode, bloodlust, bloodlust, bloodlust. They wouldn't shut up about bloodlust. And a few weeks ago, I said, well, I've not mentioned that in a long time. If they ever say bloodlust again, you have to down your drink. And he agreed to that condition. So, of course, this week's episode...
It was going so well. It was such a nice, easy episode, because I had like 7, 8 of drinks of the rules like last couple of weeks. And this one, I was like halfway through, and they'd given me nothing. And then they dropped that.
I can always tell when Connor's watching Arrow, because... his spelling and grammar takes a massive hit.
That is very true.
I challenge you to remain sober enough to spell once you have that much alcohol in you.
Well, I have fat thumbs, so I already have
you're awful anyway.
Exactly. So, but yeah, this issue too.
Yeah.
To take it back to Green Arrow.
Joe, I like about it. See the final page. Obviously, we said it's like the red arrow going down, and then you've got all the people in the green around the arrow. Inside the arrow, it's a Space Needle blowing up. And the rest of it, it's all the different characters reacting to it. Obviously, Broderick's smelling like an evil maniac. The rest are all like, oh shit,
shocked.
That's coming down. Because, I mean, the idea, no matter where you are in the city, you can see this. Like, you can see this happening.
That's basically true.
Yeah. But Joe, I like about it as well. I like how this page just kind of summarizes the issue, because it was all these different people in different locations. But, it was all separate stories. So the idea in this final page, it's them literally broken up by lines, but then they're all being united by seeing this one thing happen. It's just a really neat structural thing. Yeah. I like it. It's cool.
Yeah. Yep. Strong work there out of Arrow team.
Yeah, I actually like that issue a lot more after talking about it. Not that I didn't like it before, but like
on Wednesdays I make it my last read because it's been so consistent. Yeah. So I can end my workday, on a high note, and it did not disappoint.
Cool. That'll take us on to Nightwing number 21, and I was a little bit worried before I read it because it was not the usual writer. We had Michael McMillan writing it and Christian Duce. I guess this is a little fill-in because it's just a one-shot kind of thing. I guess the regular team's taking an issue off to sort of get ahead.
But there was nothing to worry about.
There wasn't. My only real complaint would be a little, occasionally the dialogue sounded a little bit 90s. Like I thought maybe.
Yeah.
So,
but it makes it stand out as a one-shot. So this will be one of those issues that we can go back and be like, hey, remember that really fun issue with Nightwing and Wally teaming up?
Yeah, my only real problem, I think, is when Dick's like, "Hey, you should go hit on those girls," and it's like, aren't you kind of in a relationship with problems right now?
Weren't you worried she was knocked up? But
yeah,
to be fair, he doesn't say let's go hit on those girls. He does say it's been a long time since I've been the wingman. He's definitely implying that it's for Wally to hook up with someone and he's just going to help. That's what it sounds like.
Sure. It just the way it comes up kind of sounds.
That's fair. No, it is fair, but I'm just clarifying the exact
also
intention.
That bartender is a pretentious knob.
But I've heard of this type of thing about mixology classes, and I love that they just want a basic, easy drink. And,
because most people do.
I love seeing when I'm in a place where the barman is like you fancy like that, and he's doing all these, he's throwing his bottles around and these mixers, and he's shaking things and spinning them around. I like ignoring him, but making it clear that I'm ignoring him, just to let him know I'm not impressed, because he wants the attention.
What would you like to drink, sir? And Pete just turns around from the bar.
I'll say my order and then turn my back to him because you know what? No. You're begging for my attention. I'm not doing it.
We go to tiki bars. No, not a lot, but we like tiki bars. And I just order a pineapple juice since I don't drink. And so my wife will order some really cool named tiki drink, and her friend will. And I'll I'll just take a pineapple juice.
So some places.
What do you want in it? Just juice.
Yeah.
Cool. Ice, maybe.
Yeah, I'm typically really boring because I don't drink either when it comes to ordering at the bar. That said, some places you go, they do like fancy milkshakes, so maybe I'll have a milkshake, and that's when they try to impress me because they're like, "Oh, I'll get the."
Honestly, I drink a lot as
yes,
about, but not really cocktails so much. Yeah. It's rare I'll get a cocktail. So for me, it's just give me a pint.
It's hard booze, but Connor.
Pint or a whiskey.
We legitimately,
I'm easily pleased.
Do you see when we did the Arrow reviews now, we literally open those videos with 2 disclaimers. The same disclaimer we give to everything. I'll say 3, because the one we give to everything is, with spoilers for the episode, blah, 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 blah. Second disclaimer is, we don't like Arrow very much, Connor gets drunk, and we take the piss out of it. But the third thing that always happens in those videos is Connor has to announce what he was drinking that evening, just in case anyone wants to,
Someone might want to drink along.
You should know.
And, recommendations.
Well, okay, so the fact that we've gone on this diatribe, I mean, this was a fine issue. I feel it's indicative of the issue that we're talking about drinking habits.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than the issue. So, I mean, I saved it for last because of what Pete had said about, I noticed it wasn't Seeley and one of the go-to artists, so I was like, okay, but it's Wally and Dick, it's cool.
Oh, it's fun, and they're dealing with this villain who can pause time in a bubble, so it's like it's almost because they actually think it's a speedster. One of my favourite lines is Dick says, "Oh, he's not a speedster, but he's just as annoying," and Dick's like, or Wally's like, "Oh, we're going to talk about that later."
I definitely feel like they're best friends. I feel like this has been missing from Dick Grayson's life since Wally disappeared. He needed somebody like this that wasn't one of his brothers.
Yeah. It was the other bit that made me chuckle is when they're talking about how he can sense things through the Speed Force, and Dick's like, "Hey, so can you do this?" And Wally basically is Han from the Force Awakens goes, "That's not how the Speed Force works." That's basically it.
So they track down the guy. The guy's got some. But I also liked how I think it was Dick who was like sort of just thinking in his narration. He's like, I've noticed these newer villains. They tend to monologue a bit more and over-explain everything and showboat. No imagination. Yeah. And I like how they try and name him, but then the guy's already thought of his own name. Time Bomb is the one he came up with.
They ask him, they go, Time, he goes, yeah, that'll do. That's not bad.
Honestly, yeah, it's a fun little issue where they banter, and it's a perfect. If it's a filler issue, it's a perfect kind of filler issue where it's just this nice, fun bit of friendship. It was a nice, quick read. Had fun with it, Obviously, there's a tease at the end for what's coming next in the next arc, but other than that...
That's what I got the most hyped over.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, so we're getting Tiger Shark in the next arc, as well as Blockbuster, because it says next Blockbuster, but who we see on screen is Tiger Shark. It's a screen, sorry, page. You know what I meant?
Yeah. But
that's okay. I at work, when I was reading my comics at lunch, I tried to swipe my physical copy. Yeah, that happened. So, screen, page, they're all the same in my brain anymore.
Matt, the swiping's first. Next, you're going to be double tapping on one of the panels to make it go into panel mode.
I've already done that before. So, I just didn't talk about it. Because my boss went, as we're sitting there eating lunch, go, why'd you wipe on your comic? And I went, never mind. So, yeah.
Oh, poor Matt.
I will say this writer, he gets the voices. So, if he let's say he takes over Nightwing down the line, I'd be okay with that. I think he's got it in it. At least on a he gets the character on a surface
I think it would be a much more like, it would remind me a lot more of the 90s stuff if this guy took over, but I'd be cool with it. Like, it'd be
that's
fun
that's
run.
not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
No. Especially considering like someone like Percy, who he just threw love all over. Started kind of rough on Green Arrow, but worked his way in.
Yeah.
And just kept going in repetition. So, but yeah, just Tiger Shark is first time we've seen Tiger Shark. Was it Black Mirror? Because that's the first time I remember encountering him.
Probably the first I know of him. Yeah.
Okay, so that's cool that they're tying back to one of my favorite stories.
Was he not in Batman, in Snyder's Batman with Harper Row, down under the sewers?
Oh, on the train. I think it was in the train. Remember, there was a subway bit. I'm sure there was a subway bit with Tiger Shark.
Yeah, but I thought he had a
Was
little
that
boat
during
down
the Owls?
Yeah. I think maybe during the epilogue issue, around that point.
It was one or two appearances, though. It wasn't around too much.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was in there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm cool. It's still a blank slate enough that you can...
I'm just in my brain, I'm thinking, but was that Bronze Tiger? But I'm probably
No, it definitely wasn't.
I'm probably just mixing my tigers up. It's fine.
I'm thinking, was it another shark-related person?
Wasn't King Shark. I remember King
No,
Shark.
it wasn't King Shark.
What's cool, we've also got an orca in Bloodhaven, so like Bloodhaven's becoming like a haven for animal-themed villains.
Oh man, orca versus tiger shark.
Yeah.
That's like their gang wars. They're all which sea creature wins.
That's the cool thing. Orca's kind of been set up there as another one of these like villains who's turned a new leaf and might help in the fight. If Dick needs like an army, as it were, to fight a gang war, then he's got some misfits ready to fight for him.
I'm sure Bruce will really approve of that.
Bruce doesn't need to know.
Yeah.
But no, Bruce is not one to talk, because that's exactly what he's done. He's built an army to fight a gang war. He's just on the opposite side of it.
This is true.
That's his thing.
He's on a much more cosmic level, I guess.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, to be honest, after the I Am Bane arc where he got his own Suicide Squad, I'm not sure he's allowed to judge anymore.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Nightwing was fun.
Yeah, that was pretty solid. It was again kind of 90s. That's very bright and poppy, but good momentum.
Yeah,
a lot of Wally West this week.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about that. Even in the art, I thought they're just a little bit musclier than normal, like more of a 90s.
Especially Wally.
Yeah, bit of bulge.
Yeah, definitely.
Bit of bulge. But there you go. That's Nightwing. That will take us on to... we're kind of getting into the quick section here, although all these books could really go either way. We just have to pick some stuff to try and limit ourselves on time, especially this week. So that'll take us on to Green Lanterns, issue 23. Sam Humphries writing Eduardo Pansica on art. I actually made a typo and I put an O instead of a P, so it actually said Eduardo Owensica. But Pansica, of course, is who it is. And this was a relatively straightforward, fun issue, but relatively straightforward. It was kind of bouncing between... obviously, there was a bit in the middle with other stuff, but it was bouncing between Jessica and Simon. Jessica's with Guy. Guy's been a complete douchebag. And
he's being Guy.
Yeah.
Aye. Which was why the last page of this book was maybe my favourite page of the week. I'm not going to lie.
That's what she needed. you have someone in Jessica who needs the confidence, right? She has trouble making her constructs, and then you have Simon, who that's all he is confidence, and he's throw a punch first. He's like Guy. That's why last issue they talked about they don't get along.
Yeah, which is why Kyle's test for Simon was very different. It was more about him trying to not think that way and having to think outside the box.
And I feel if Jessica had just done it earlier, she would save herself a lot of...
Do you know what I like about this? It's a subtle thing
trouble
in the art. Is when we get this montage at the start, if you can even call it, it's a comic book, but I'm using movie terms, of her like doing all these training things with Guy, and I like that halfway through it, her hair's suddenly tied back, and they don't even address it. They don't point it out. It's just her hair's tied back, and I like the idea that after a few of these like tests, she's gotten pissed off. It's like, right, hair's tied back. I'm in this now. This ginger prick doesn't know what's going to hit him. All right, okay. No other thoughts.
I mean, it's you're right. Yeah, she probably did think that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool flashback in the middle. Because we're learning about Volthum inside Rami, and he's looking through the old texts and stuff, and he finds out that Rami never actually destroyed the traveling lantern that brought him to him, and he could have maybe gotten home all this time had he had access to it. But to do so, he needs to reassemble the first 7 rings that were made, because they were made from this lantern. And we get a cool flashback of one of the first ever Green Lanterns who becomes a Green Lantern. There's like a war
from the third world.
From the third world, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, remember, Kirby's was the fourth world, and they were always worried about the fifth world of superheroes taking them over. So
yeah,
this is a very long time ago.
I'm just her name's Aletha. I knew it was a cool name. I wanted to find it. Aletha. It's a cool name.
For a second, I thought it was Fatality, because I haven't heard Fatality in a super long time. And then I was like, oh no, this is way beyond Fatality. But yeah, I love this type of stuff. I love the 7 rings. Like, as much as I get tired of the color wars and whatnot, I love when they delve into the Lantern mythology, and the fact that there was the 7 first are these powerful,
I love
icons.
that it felt so different as well, because it broke into that little, very short prose section instead of being in a box.
Yeah.
As we were introduced to her, and it's like, oh, okay, this is different.
Yeah. So standout scene actually. I mean, I love the last page, because the last page is Jessica finally knocking Guy.
I can't wait for Guy to just. The next thing is just going to be Guy laughing, going finally.
Yeah.
Finally, and he's going to hug her and go, "Come here, kiddo."
Yeah. About time you stood up for yourself.
I'm expecting that. I'm expecting it. I still enjoyed him getting punched, though. I'm not gonna lie. But standout scene for me, I think, is probably Kilowog showing up and being like, "Yeah, Guy's a dick. I'm going to play good cop here." And he tells us this little inspirational story about her own will being a green star inside of her, and it's a kind of sweet moment.
That story.
It's kind of nice to see Kilowog be this guy. Like, Guy's being the drill sergeant, and he comes in and is like...
Yeah. This is usually what we expect from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always say that drill instructors, once you get out of training, they're like your cool uncle for life. And so I feel that is Kilowog. Kilowog's everyone's cool uncle, and you want him on your side. You don't want him mad at you for anything. And I love that, and I loved his story to Jessica, and just... Oh man, she's such a great character. I say it every time, but
also coolest construct to the issue might have to go to Kyle with his pinball machine like a giant pinball machine that he's got Simon in.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
and that's such a Kyle thing to do, is to go above and beyond what he needs to.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I will say though, like his whole point is, his constructs are all mechanical. They're always the same. I feel like Hal could do with some of this training too, and maybe we could move him away from just having fighter jets.
It makes more sense for Simon. He's a car guy, so of course they're going to have a mechanical bent to him.
Well, no, I agree, but that was my point. Like, how much of his constructs are just planes?
Yeah.
Like, he could probably do with this training too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're
just too afraid to say it to him.
Greatest Green Lantern, my ass.
Yeah, his name's not Guy Gardner.
Mm.
He plucked out Arkillo's eye, Pete. He's the greatest Green Lantern.
I am never going to hear the end of this stupid eye thing, am I?
You should just read it.
Nope.
I'm going to hear the end of it.
You don't even have to read it. It's gonna be like Wonder Woman issue 8. It's just something I love, and you're gonna have to deal with it.
I like how you somehow brought in Wonder Woman issue 8 that way. Like, just, it's like Wonder Woman issue 8, which is that issue of Wonder Woman I really love.
It's brought in through proxy.
And I hate that Connor made me read Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, and that I actually like it now.
Yeah. You hate that I made you read it, but you love that you got to see Guy rip out Arklo's eye. So, yeah.
And then they bro out like 2 issues later, and they're like hugging with cats on.
Just to wrap up Green Lanterns, I'll say the art was decent. It was consistent. Nothing spectacular. Kind of.
I had some facial expressions here and there that were a bit awkward. I mean, on the second to last page, Jessica, the very bottom, the second panel, so there's like 3 along the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 there, that's Jessica, and then the Guy one. It's just Guy looks weird in the middle, like his face is all twisted in this funny way.
Yeah, that's fair. I like the last one of Jessica. The first one's a little bit weird when she sort of got her, she's like face palming in stress. And the last one with anger though, I'm kind of cool with though. I feel like that one fits, but yeah, no, the other 2 are fair.
Yeah. It's just there's a few throughout the issue. I'd have to go back and actually like look for them now, but every so often I was like, it looks a bit not quite right.
Which is why I say it was pretty decent, but nothing was sticking out to me as like amazing. Whereas I read Green Arrow, I'm reading Flash and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, or Batman, and I'm like, oh, these are great. That'll take us on to Batwoman number 3, written by Marguerite Bennett and James Tynion the fourth. Art by Steve Epting. The art's been fantastic in this since it started, and I'm pretty.
Oh, it's Epting.
Yeah,
you can just say shorthand.
I'm still into it. We got a little flashback of a knife, or Tahani, as our real name is. But the main bulk of this issue, and I like that flashback. That was like Sophia, like first meeting her and like taking her under her wing.
It shows you why she was so useful.
Yeah.
And why she's so good at what she did.
I'd like to have maybe those scenes of Sophia meeting all the other, the other members.
I think we may.
I want a Koreana miniseries after this. This is a place that has become like in just 3 issues went from somewhere that none of us have ever heard of to being like, wow, this is like a distinctly DC place.
Yeah, it's got its own like team of people. There's factions. It's got stuff to do.
There's law and like a culture around it. It's kind of like in Marvel, you have Madripoor, where Wolverine goes and puts an eye patch on. I feel like this Koreana is kind of like that, and with this corporation with Kali trying to pervert that, I'm into it. Like just beyond Kate. So
obviously the main bulk of this issue is Kate infiltrates the Kali Corporation. We introduced this place last time. We know they're funding Knife. They're involved in buying up the island and all that. And she goes and meets them, and we find out that they're siblings. So they're a bit. As I like this point, this really nice point where she's like, "Oh, you twins, you look really similar." And they're like, "Oh no, we've got different mothers, same father, but we were born in the same day on the opposite sides of the planet."
No, they were born at the exact same time. But because they were the opposite sides, one was noon and one was
time
midnight.
Change, yeah.
Their names are Elder and Younger, as if you needed to be creeped out even more.
Which one's which? Which is the
guy's elder?
Guy's elder, right?
The girl's younger.
Which actually probably the best joke. I mean, this isn't. There's some funny humor because Kate's like flirting with the security girl and stuff. This is some little bits, but the funniest stuff is when it comes to Julia during this, and she's got a bingo card. It's called Creepy Twin Bingo. Now, given that I've been watching Riverdale recently, the Creepy Twin IDs have been in my head.
Yeah.
Well, and you didn't even get much into Game of Thrones either, so that's I win.
I'm going to read out the ones that I can make out here on Creepy Twin Bingo. We've got weird incest vibes. I'm familiar with that one. Yeah. Come play with us, Danny. Quality Shining reference. Mythological twin names.
No, missed out.
Dreadlock motorcycle albinos. Or albinos, I should say. Now the ones that are covered though, I can't quite make those. One's cereal something gold.
Yeah.
I think we need to get tweeting at I don't know if Epting's got the list or if it's Tynion or Bennett.
We'll just get them all.
One of them has the full thing, and I want this so that we can play it.
I want to go back and rewatch season 1 of Riverdale and play it.
Ding.
Ah, yes.
Well, they're not. I mean, the Blossoms are white, but they're not albino white. You know.
Okay, so sure, the albino one doesn't get covered, but the others can all get covered.
We've definitely got weird incest vibes.
Yeah, you get that in the first 2 minutes of that first episode. That was my first impression of that show. Oh, this is some creepy incest stuff going on.
Yep.
Anyway,
Great show.
so,
Great show.
So she's sort of trying to find out what they are, what they're going on, and all the rest of it. But we see Knife is in the rafters. She's watching all this, and she sees Kate plant a bug. And at the end of the scene, she jumps down and like smashes into the table and
she cuts cuts it out of the table.
Yeah.
Like Knife, you could have just dislodged it, but
just pick it out.
You cut it.
Yeah. Well, the creepy twins run off and they get in the helicopter. Kate gets into costume, has a quick fight. Kate does this cool badass thing when she dives off the building, and then she's got this like jetpack tech or sort of tech that attaches to her cape that turns it into a glider. I guess is more accurate.
It's her drones, the drones that Julia had brought up from the yacht. They join. Yeah, they join with her. They catch up. It's very Stark-esque.
It is Stark-esque, yeah.
Very
Iron Man.
Throws the self.
But the fact that it's just the stuff around her shoulders, though, but it's mostly just like a glide, like it turns her cape into a glider, gives it a different feel. It's more of a thing.
No, it's so cool.
And obviously, it's beautiful. I love the panel at the bottom of that page where it's just a silhouette of her flying like she's a bat. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's
great. And so, without a doubt, we know that the creepy twins and Kali are part of the mini Hands of Death, and that they're planning on blowing up Coriana. We find out they've got every part of the island rigged with explosives, like the entire underground, completely, from side to side, rigged with explosives. Because, as we talked about earlier, it is this haven for outlaws, and there's people from everywhere there. This will take out the most people from the most places to satisfy their twisted nature.
I got a chuckle when they actually said a hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah.
As did I.
I just want to put out another great page with this glider cape. It's when she's like, it's a couple of pages later, she's on the beach and she's just at the shallow, the water, the shoreline, and the cape's still sort of propped up, so it's got this proper bat shape to it. It just looks really nice.
Yeah, it's great.
I just want to point that out.
That's actually on the panel where it says hive and scum and villainy, isn't it?
Is it? Oh, so it is. Yeah, quite right. So Kate finds a bunch of explosives in this cave, and this entire page is gone. It's like, because the cave's got her back to, again, I say camera, you know what I mean. And she's, the cape's flowing, that looks great. And then the panel underneath that at the bottom is Knife coming out of the water like Apocalypse Now, and it's just proper intimidating, proper shadows, the whole thing, creates a mood, creates an atmosphere.
Yeah. I was 50-50 on the series until this issue. I'm fully in.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Like up until now, I wasn't sold on the story aspects, but I was like, I like the tone, I like the mood, I like Epting's art.
They are, obviously.
That was enough. But now it's like, okay, I got some cool story.
Yeah, it's coming together. It's taking its time to establish some stuff, and now it feels like we've got this island, we've got all these factions, we've got Kate's got her own little backstory here that we didn't know about before, and it feels like it's building stuff up.
Like Matt said, we now know this place, Coriana. We have a connection to it. We understand this place in 3 issues. That's pretty good. And
so the cliffhanger at the end of this issue is that all of these other like crime bosses that Kate knows that are kind of like, they're crime bosses, but they're not. Yeah, the warlords. But they're not evil. They've got like a sort of honor code and whatever.
They're profit driven.
They all show up sort of basically as backup, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean that's their home too. I mean, it's their sanctuary. Yeah. They're not going to let the Kali Corporation ruin it for everyone.
So,
and I like that, and I want to know, where is Sophia?
I know, because no one said she's dead, and so I'm expecting her to show up. You almost expect her to be running the Kali Corporation at this point, like to be the higher up, like, 'cause that's the obvious twist to go for at this point. Well, they're going to go that route, I don't know.
But if they do, I mean, I wouldn't be annoyed. Like I say, it's an obvious twist, but I'm sure they'll give us good reasons, and that's what'll make it interesting. If they do that, it's why, not if.
Yeah,
I agree. And if we keep getting these little flashbacks, like eventually maybe it'll add up. But we'll care more about the twist because we'll see how she's connected to all these different. And maybe that's why Knife's working there. Maybe Knife is still loyal to her. So,
yeah, it could be.
But no, that's Batwoman. Really, really good. Went it. Man, I've got a really craggy voice today.
You do.
So next up, we are looking at Super Sons number 4. Peter J. Tomasi writing and Jorge Jimenez in art. And of the two Peter J. Tomasi books, I think this is the tighter one this time round.
For sure.
Yeah, that's actually ended the arc. I didn't expect this to be a 4-issue story, but here we are. Although I feel like the next issue will be like an epilogue, because obviously, not to jump to the ending, but we start the issue.
Some explaining to do.
Yeah, we have this bookend thing where the issue opens with Alfred and Lois, one at the manor, one at the Kent house, coming in to wake the kids up. Damien, by the way, for his 4 a.m. workout, might I point out, which is pretty hilarious.
And John to go feed the animals because Dad's busy. Like, Lois, you couldn't help? You got to wake up your 10-year-old son to go feed the animals?
I just want to point out, by the way, Connor didn't get around to reading this week, so this is him doing some prep on his top 10 characters for later.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now and it's stressing me out.
Hey, Connor, that's all you need. Red Hood.
I can if you give me a worst characters list.
Red Hood. Number 2, Artemis and her ginormous axe. Number 3, Bizarro.
Yeah, but I like 4, Bizarro in Bizarro's other series. I've never liked Red Hood in any series. So
Red Hood again. Because why not?
Oh dear. Who does he not like? Connor, he must not like more characters. He's not going to tell us because we're going to make fun of him.
He likes others, but he loves Red Hood.
All right, so Super Sons.
Super Sons, you cocks.
Yeah, Super Sons.
Language, let's not earn that E.
Yeah, so we end the issue. The kids get back to the Kent farm and they think everything's. I say Kent, it's not a Kent farm anymore, but same difference. And they're sneaking in the window, and Alfred and Lois are just standing there. And this is actually something I love about there. I've seen this a lot, actually, the facial expressions in this throughout the series, but Lois's annoyed face is absolutely spectacular. Spectacular. And then Alfred's like, what does he say? He drops like a silly line. He says ditto. That's right, because Lois says you guys have got some explaining to do.
I believe the term is ditto.
Yes.
That's how I read it.
I believe the term is ditto.
But yeah, so they deal with Kid Amazo, who I'm still not sure what his actual powers are. Is like he can copy powers and bring them to machines.
I think that's what he got, because they said that he already had a power, but then the Amazo virus amplified it and gave him more. So it seemed like the Amazo virus let him start to make the copies he made could then copy other people with their powers. And that's why there was tons of Damien and John robots, was because they were copying them, because that's part of his power set.
Also, this little dude is super dark. Like,
he is. Even
compared to what we've seen, because he basically builds copies of his family just to murder them.
Yeah, and he makes them watch.
Again.
He makes the actual family watch and murder his family.
That said, now also with we know that Kathy's probably not going on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind John having a friendship with his sister.
Yeah, what's her name? I don't know. Is it Sarah?
I can't remember. I think it's Sarah.
Yeah. She has some good moments in here. In fact, one of my favourite, again, facial expressions is, so Lex shows up because Damien secretly gets a message out to Lex to come and help, because they're chained up, and there's some great banter between the two kids as they're chained up upside down.
You have super strength.
Yeah.
I have more strength than you. You're not doing anything.
Yeah. All of Damien's joking about what superpowers Damien actually has in this was cracking me up. Super stating the obvious must be one of them. Really funny. But it's when at the end they deal with everything. They fight him. Crisis over. And they basically both Batman out of the scene together. And Lex turns around and not there, and he looks pissed. But Sarah's face. Sarah's little smirk in the corner, she's like, they got away. Was really making me laugh. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Which basically sums up this series so far. It's been the actual story's been it's fine, kind of dark in places actually, which I like. I like that they did that, but it's been really fun. It's the characters interacting. It's just the chemistry between those two. And if we do set up Sarah as a new recurring character, since it seems like Kathy's probably not sticking around after this, give him his Lana. He needs a Lana.
Yeah, exactly. And this girl that they can relate to each other because she has a power, right, from the mesovirus.
Yeah.
She can control machines, and he's Superman's son, so
gives them a bond.
definitely.
Also, I like that when they're rescuing the real family, Damien carries her, and then John carries both parents and the other sister. Or brother. Whoever the third one is. I think it's a big brother. But he's like carrying, because he's got super strength, so he's carrying like 3 of them, and Damien's carrying the one. So it's a nice little touch.
It was a fun issue. Definitely, like you said early, Tomasi's much finer work this week than the other.
Yeah.
So, enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was super fun. I think this will always... I mean, maybe it'll do other things later, but I think it'll always be in the quick section because it is just super fun. And it's not super in-depth, but it's great character stuff, and it's a hoot every time. And I'm just on the last page again. I just want to point out how great that Lois face is. She looks so pissed at John.
She's way more mad that her son snuck out to fight Kitameza than she was at losing a leg.
Don't bring up the leg. I don't want to talk about the leg.
I know. It was low-hanging fruit. I had to. Because Connor loves Red Hood.
God, that leg still exists, unlike your imaginary person that you keep bringing up.
Oh, don't you go there, damn it.
Alright, that'll take us on.
Let's get to that.
Yeah, to the final issue of the week, which is Trinity number 9. Francis Manapul is back, although he's not back for long, because one of the early solicits for August was him not on Trinity. But he's back for
I
us.
think I'm going to trade on this one, knowing this now.
Right,
I think it's going to read much better. Knowing that there's going to be fits and starts, I might just pick up certain issues and then just collect it that way.
Do we move on?
I mean,
yeah, we're on Trinity now.
Yeah, we're on Trinity.
Okay, cool.
Here he comes.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I wasn't paying attention.
Because
He's back.
I love seeing his...
He couldn't decide who to put after Red Hood, so he was struggling.
I love that seeing on the cover, it's just Manapul on the cover. But it makes this kind of inconsistent, with the bun issues now. And...
I will say this might be my favourite issue in terms of plot so far this series.
Well, yeah, because it gets to be different.
Yeah.
And...
I like that they're still suffering from the effects of the previous arc where they're like, oh, we experienced all that stuff, and the 3 of them are in that cave, and they're like, wait a minute, the engraving's still here, and we get this sense that the White Mercy kid might actually still exist in the real world. Which is killed a little seed that maybe he's probably going to pay off later.
It's the idea that maybe in some way it did actually alter their pasts as well, if that's there.
Maybe. So you've got that, but the actual plot is that something's happened on the Watchtower. The rest of the Justice League, other than Barry, because Barry's got super speed, so he's been kind of avoiding it, but some sort of alien entity has basically turned them all into monsters.
Yeah.
Except Cyborg.
You can separate them.
Cyborg just got dismantled because he's a cyborg, and he's like, the alien's like, no, I can't do it with this.
I feel like that's his job now, is anytime something attacks, they just disassemble Cyborg. And he has to put all his resources into putting himself back together. That's how you take him out.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was pretty cool. The different things in the Watchtower, I thought was real cool, and how Barry saves Batman from having his lungs implode.
Yeah, because the side of the room they're in explodes, and like they're going out into space, and like obviously Batman can't survive out there. I mean, I don't think. I mean, even Wonder Woman and Superman need to get back in eventually, but they can. They're strong enough to hold their breath for a bit, whereas Batman tries to do that, he's just going to...
And that's what Barry says. Barry's like, they can hold their breath, they're fine, I had to get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously... And you can see they are holding their breath, because they're communicating through hand signals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a nice little touch. Actually, one of my, I thought was interesting pages, there's like a page that's like the blueprint. It's not actually a blueprint, it's really just a drawing of the Watchtower in a blueprint-esque kind of colour scheme.
Yeah.
But it's got that, but then it's got these little, like, sort of... almost cybernetic like connections to the panels, showing you where they are in the Watchtower as they're going through it.
Yeah, it's a really cool breakdown, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really simple but interesting. And then they find the lanterns. I've got these monster heads and they're fighting them, so they've been taken over with something. Which, admittedly, Justice League members being taken over by a monster is kind of it's not exactly fresh. But at least the whole idea of something happened in the Watchtower and the Trinity are like the ones left with Barry, so it's really more of a
yeah.
Trinity.
I was gonna say it's called Trinity, but most of this issue, or at least half of it, is narrated from Barry's point of view.
Yeah, I'm like, is this another button issue? I feel like just as much. And then there's this other alien shows up at the end, who's not actually at least it doesn't seem like this is the alien that's controlling these other monster aliens. He's here because this alien thing is such a bad virus that it's going to spread to Earth, and the only way to take care of it is to just eradicate the entire place.
It's like Manapul watched Alien vs. Predator 2. And was like, I'm going to do that story.
It basically kind of is. It's almost like the monster's the weapon of mass destruction, and then this guy's like, oh shit, I need to kill this by just, bombing the entire planet. Done.
Yeah.
So,
and this alien's very Kirby-esque too, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But Manapul Flash, I'll never be mad at.
No. And this issue made me realize I just want Manapul on Justice League.
That's fair. Maybe we'll end up there. I enjoyed this issue. I think plot wise it was the most, because I liked obviously the art and stuff and some of the character stuff in the first arc, but I feel like it went on a bit too long. I was feeling a little bit that the dream stuff was maybe drying it a little bit long in that first one. Here I like it's a popcorn story. I don't think there's much depth to it, but I'm having a blast.
Moves.
Yeah,
like this issue moved very quick,
which is probably how Justice League should feel if we're not doing like a big event.
Well, that's the thing. Like this feels kind of like what Hitch has been trying to do, except just better in every way.
Yep.
But it's the same style of story.
No, it is. Yeah, but it's not overcomplicated to shit like Hitch was making his stories.
No, it looks better too.
Because that's why I just hard dropped Justice League, and that when I realised that it wasn't the second, it was the third arc. When I realised that third arc was just going to be more of the same, I was like, oh, no, I'm done. But no, I thought it was fun. It was definitely like I'd put it in the lower tier of my books this week, just because it is such popcorn. Even don't get me wrong, the art's gorgeous. I'm not disputing that, but it's But that's where
it didn't have that. I loved the very first issue of Trinity. That was just them like meeting up for dinner. Yeah. It was simple, and here's almost the opposite. It's them jumping straight away into something. So it's good that he's alternating the way he tells things. So I can appreciate that. But it might just be better read in trade. That's all.
It might be. I think at this point now, since we know that issue whatever one's out in August is going to be someone else, and it said part 1.
Issue 12.
So there's at least going to be 2 issues because it said part 1. So there's at least 2 without him. I imagine that means that there's always going to be a couple of issues between each arc.
Yeah, I mean it takes time for him to do this.
Yeah, because he's doing both.
Yeah. Obviously, the stuff before wasn't actually planned because that was filling artists because of his family issues.
Okay, that's fair.
The bun issues were planned, but before when we had Clayman fill in on the art.
Yeah, he was still writing. Yeah,
he'd still written the scripts and stuff, but he didn't have time to do the art because of some
at the very
issues.
least, though, the plot for the whatever however long the fill-in arc is going to be after this does seem like something that'll interest you, Connor, at the very least.
I saw. I'm hyped.
Yeah, it's
I mean, okay, it's not Manapul, and
it's Rob Williams who's writing it, but it's basically this Trinity has to work with the Magic Trinity. That Magic Trinity being Zatanna, Deadman, and Constantine. So
I'm so in. Every part of that's fantastic. And
Deadman, Zatanna. They're with you, Matt.
Clayman's on art again, I believe, for that, and he's okay. He's not quite Manapul, but he's still pretty damn good.
Oh yeah.
So
who is? Manapul.
Yeah. Oh, cool. There you go. That was the last book. We got through it. We got through it somehow, some way. In the end, we're not done with the podcast yet, admittedly, but we've done the books. So
buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah. So we'll get to our best stuff of the week. Yeah. In fact, before we do it, I'll make the little Patreon announcement first, actually. We added an extra little perk. Yeah. And part of this was because we looked at it and we had a lot of cool comic stuff in the $5 tier. We'll tell you what's coming up soon and the bonus stuff for that at the end of the show. We'll do that at the end of every episode, I think, just to let people know what's coming on the way and what went up this week, kind of thing. But a new thing's been added for the $1 tier. So you get what I'm about to describe, you get if you go to the $1 tier and give $1 a month. And it's basically just a way to bring people into sort of the show, because every week we pick our best book of the week, best art, best cover, and we want you to do that too. So if you go into the Patreon right now, you can see that the first one's already up. Typically, they will go up on the Saturday when the new episode goes out, and then you can vote in them until the Friday before the next episode. So you'll get 6 days essentially to vote. And and you basically just pick your best book of the week, your best art of the week, the best cover of the week. You can also tick all your the books that you actually read, so we can see what your pull list was. And in the next week's episode, so on week 53, we will announce everything that won from the patrons on week 52. So like you'll have a pick, as it were. And we'll announce that. It's just a simple little thing, a little fun thing. There's a box at the bottom as well at the forum if you want to actually like comment on why you picked your number one. You don't have to fill that in, but if you want to and we like the comment, we might read it. So on the show. So yeah, go check it out if that sounds like something you want to do. But we thought that'd be fun to bring that in, and it also means similar at the end of the year when we're doing our best of the year stuff, we'll also have your picks as well to go in that annual episode. So check it out. There you go. That's a new little thing. But yeah, so our best stuff of the week. So we'll start with best panel, as we typically do. Connor, best panel of the week.
I'm torn between two.
Mm-hmm.
Both revolve around the same character.
But different book?
Nope, same book.
Alright, okay. I thought that was going to be a little swerve, but yeah, go on.
No. They are both panels with Jay Garrick in.
Okay.
One of which is just the one where he jumps out and it's I'm free. Because that's the full page. The other one is the one where he's saying, my name's Jay Garrick, I'm your friend, a Flash. That panel just gets me.
I'm actually going to piggyback off you. I'm not picking either of those two. I was tempted to pick something from Batman because I loved that stuff. I was tempted to pick something from Green Arrow, but ultimately, I was even tempted to pick Manhattan's Hand because, oh baby.
It's kind of an easy choice, isn't it?
Shivers down the spine. But I'm actually also going to go with a Jay Garrick moment. I am going with I like the whole page, but it's where he grabs Batman and Flash, and he's saving them. Like Jay in the Speed Force is the one who saves them. I like the importance of that moment. Like it's not just that he's back. Like they only even survive this because Jay's there to be the granddad and be the Golden Age hero. And I just like him. He's got his arms around both of them. It's just I love it. And he's the one running. Like Barry's lost his footing, but Jay's still. He's got seniority. He's got the experience.
He's dependable.
Yeah, I like it. Matt, panel of the week.
So you guys covered Jay Garrick, so I don't have to, so that's good. So mine's going to be from Superman, where he dives up to save Lois from underneath. His eyes are glowing red.
How is it that's one of the most negative sounding reviews Matt's ever given Superman? We get to the picks at the end, and the first thing he picks from Superman...
Yeah, because it's a dope... my dog's barking.
Dope dog, yeah.
Yeah. Because I love that moment. I love anytime you piss off Superman and his eyes go red. You guys know this. And my eyes are going to go red right now.
He muted his mic and he's shouting at the dog for the audio listeners who can't see that he's doing that.
And they listen so well.
Oh, man. All right, Matt's off to do that. So we will go to best cover of the week, Connor, I think. Keep time moving nicely. So, you got one?
I do. It's frankly easy.
It's
Flash 22, isn't it?
Do you know what's funny? I said Batwoman was going to win for the foreseeable future, and it was. And it would win.
Until Flash got pushed to this week.
Until Flash got pushed to this week, because that Jay Garrick cover is absolutely glorious.
I mean... Look, we talk about a lot of good covers in general, but what else could this possibly have been? I can't fathom picking anything else this week.
Yeah, Matt, what was your cover of the week?
Oh, Flash.
Yeah, there you go.
Just for a second then.
That would have been really funny if you hadn't, though, because Connor literally just ended his thing with, how could you even fathom picking anything else?
Yeah, there was nothing else to pick. But, the homage to Flash Rebirth with him tying his boots.
I mean, I said, had Flash not been pushed, Batwoman would have won for me for the third month in a row.
Gotcha.
But Flash got pushed, and Flash...
I would have had trouble. Probably would have been Trinity, otherwise.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Best art of the week. Now, here's a more interesting choice. I feel like we had a lot of really... There's like 4, maybe 5.
We can start with Matt, because his choice is obvious.
Go on, Matt.
It is?
Art of the week.
No, it's Green Arrow.
Oh, okay.
It's not as obvious as Connor thought, apparently.
Well, given that in the review of Trinity, I was like, he said, yeah, no one else even comes close to Manapul.
No, well, that's just a personal preference. But here, for the story being told this week in Green Arrow, the stuff that Ferreyra did, just like with Ollie breaking down in the forest, and like you said, the layouts. That was my.
Yeah, I'm torn. I'm torn between that Batman and Batwoman. I think though I'm going to land on Batwoman, and it's by it's a hair. It's a hair in this. So much good art this week.
There is. I'm going to go with Trinity because I've missed having Manapul for the last couple of months, and it feels good to have it back.
Try not to.
Epting we've had for a couple of months now. I'm like, okay, I'm used to having this dose again.
Oh, sure.
Same with Green Arrow.
Just don't ruin your comic by making the pages sticky, Connor, okay?
Very good.
Take that to be graded at the comic book shop, and like, I don't know, sir, the pages are sticking together. I think like a 1.2 maybe.
It's unique.
Hey, it's the only issue. It's the only issue of Trinity with my DNA on it. So
exactly, it's unique. It's one of a kind.
I wish I could just slowly back away from this conversation. Gross.
Oh dear. Okay. Gives a new sense to those white cover variants that DC put out, though, doesn't it? Oh, Matt's reaction to that is glorious.
I'm not done.
You're not
done.
Need
that.
All right. All right, that'll take us on to our top 5 picks of the week of this week's books. I had 10 books. Matt had 10 books. Connor had 9. You read out of those 10. So, look, I'm counting. Oh, so working
9.
Hard. 9. Oh, good. So.
So proud of himself for counting to 9.
He was really impressed with himself for that. So top 5 of the week. I am going to go to Matt. And hold on, I just want everyone to know here. I've got a good feeling here that we might have a unanimous week for number 1. I'm just deep down. I've got an
just might
inkling, but Matt, top 5.
Gonna screw it all up.
That was his Green Arrow, right? No, it's not Green Arrow. It's Flash 22. Easy. And then, but my number 2 is Green Arrow. I really enjoyed that. And then number 3 is going to be Batman. And then this really gets difficult. He has to go number 4, Super Sons, and number 5, Trinity, which I think is the first time I haven't had Superman in the top 5.
It didn't deserve to be in there, though, did it?
No, it did. Not compared to the other stuff I read. So,
Connor, top 5.
Flash 22. So it's all on you now, Pete. Don't screw it up.
Oh crap! I messed my order up. Instead of Super Sons, I'm gonna go Batwoman. I really like Batwoman.
There we go.
I thought he was gonna back out.
You thought it was unanimous. There's no strings on me.
I can see the strings.
Right, so after Flash, I'm going to go Nightwing, actually. I had a blast. It was fun. 3 Green Arrow, 4 Batwoman, 5 Batman.
All right. Flash number 22, and number 1 for me. So we have a unanimous. And then I'm going to go Batman, and then Batwoman at number 3. Then Green Arrow at number 4. And then at number 5... Oh, I mean... It's basically all tied after that, other than Superman. But I will go for... Super Sons. Super Sons number 5. Super Sons number 5. So, Flash, Batman, Batwoman, Green Arrow, Super Sons.
Yeah, this is one of those weird weeks where obviously we all expect each other to have the same number 1.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, as long as it wasn't Superman, really, it's like, yeah, he probably could have had anything in there.
I just felt Matt cringed that he agreed with that statement. He's like, oh.
I know. It's probably the only time I've said that. Superman's definitely not making a top 5, because if it did, that would have been weird.
That said,
if I was vengeful and spiteful against Batman, it wouldn't have been in my top 5. It's all you people think I just took Batman. Eat it.
That said, though, had this been a week one where there was only like 6 books, it might have still scraped on there, depending on what the 6th book was.
It might, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's the favourites of the week. So I'll tell you what's coming next week before we get to the sort of the episode 52 bonus section. So coming next week, we have the next part of the Lazarus contract in Deathstroke 19. We have Action Comics 980, Batgirl number 11, Batman Beyond number 8, Blue Beetle number 9. Although I don't think any of us are actually reading that now, so that's not really in the red section anymore. But we have Detective Comics 957. We have The Flash number 23. Oh, we don't have Flash number 23. Sorry, that got moved to week 5, didn't it, Connor?
It did, by the look of it.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I saw that here.
Well, that's nice. I'll take another book in week 5. All right, so yeah, we don't have that, and we all stopped reading JLA. My God, this has changed so much since I wrote these down.
It's actually kind of a light week next week.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I like it.
It's kind of changed. Yeah. I'm going to start again because I like to have a bit of a flow, and I feel like I just
I will say, the Flash moving is really nice because it's kind of worked out nicely with week 5 that they can still have it 2 weeks away from this issue and 2 weeks away from the following issue.
No,
it gives us something extra on that 5th week.
That is fair. So to start again, we have Deathstroke number 19, we have Action Comics 980, Batgirl number 11, Batman Beyond number 8, Detective Comics 957, Wonder Woman 23, Batman the Shadow number 2, Hal Jordan the Green Lantern Corps number 20, and that's it.
21, I believe, for Hal.
21.
Anyway.
That's me not writing down numbers correctly. And Matt's getting sleepy, so we better...
I am. I need food. I ate super early this morning.
So, there you go. That's what's coming next week. Awesome. Right, okay. So, since it is episode 52, we wanted to do a little bit of something extra. We wanted to give a little bit more. And we thought, what can we do that feels monumental? And I think this is something we'll try and do every time we hit another milestone. Now, after this, it'll just be the 50s, probably. It'll be 100, 150, 200. But
I think Matt actually wrote his down on paper by the sounds of it.
Sounds like it. But, obviously...
In pen, nonetheless.
Oh, permanent.
But obviously, with DC, 50 means nothing, but 52 means something. It also happens to be a year, which is also kind of monumental in its own sense. So what we're going to do on this occasion is we've each compiled a list of our top 10 DC characters. Now, there wasn't any, it didn't have to all be heroes, have to all be villains, mixed, whatever. That said, I have no villains on mine because I looked at the list of 10 I had just from the heroes and went, I'm not knocking any of them off. This is hard enough. So
I've got a couple of villains on mine.
I've went full hero on mine.
I mean, Red Hood is a villain. He's your number 1.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, I have a villain, not a number 1, but relatively high.
I think he's got 7 heroes, 2 villains, and then 1 Red Hood. He defies classification, is what
he has 11 because he has 10 characters he likes, but 1 that he loves.
Oh dear, I'm going to. Are you ready to go, Connor? Because I do kind of want to make you go first.
We're counting down from 10, correct?
Yeah. Start. You're 10 and.
No, I've got 9, so I'm still on my last one.
All right, I'm gonna. I've not quite solidified my last place yet. I'm dancing between like 4 characters for number 10. Matt, are you prepared? Are you prepared with your
Yeah.
Well, Matt's written his in pen. It has to be prepared.
In pen.
All right, starting with number 10, Matt. Take us away.
So 10. This character would be higher, but I needed to put it 10 to prove a point. And that point is my number 10 favorite character is Connor Kent, who doesn't exist, you sons of bitches. He's the greatest Superboy so far. John's pretty great. Mm-hmm. But, yeah. I look at Pete just nodding as if I'm rambling like a crazy man.
Sorry, I'm with you,
Matt.
Yeah.
I've got a great joke planned when you finish. I'm going to ask you why you only had 9. It's going to be hilarious. Just keep going.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, Connor Kent, from the time I first read him in Teen Titans, all the way through his arc in Infinite Crisis, and his return, and how he played in with Lemire and Manapul in Adventure Comics. It's just, he's a great character. And it's a shame Dan Jurgens decided to leave him out of the timeline and cause me undue stress.
I don't blame Dan Jurgens. I think there's an editor above him going, "You're not allowed him." Dan's fighting. He's like, just give me Connor Kent. The people want him.
Yeah, there's an editor above him.
I have my own.
There's an editor above him telling them no, and that editor's name is God because he didn't exist, and you can't just have something that didn't exist.
Yeah,
of course you can. This is comics.
Yeah, of course. But it's all part of a conspiracy theory that I have. Without the Legion, there's no Superboy. And when you have 19 Robins, you can have multiple Superboys. So that's number 10, Connor Kent. He's actually in my top 5, but I had to put him 10 just to kick off strong.
Do you know what? I'd be more interesting here. Maybe if we cycle around, I'll give our 10.
Oh, right, okay. That's not bad.
That's what I thought we were doing.
Oh no, I was just waiting for Matt to go. Just go.
Pete didn't want to have to think.
All right, no, that's fine. All right, let me just solidify my number 10 then, and because it's a struggle, and I'm a little concerned that my list is really boring.
It probably is.
It's all Batman characters.
It's not. There's a fair few, but it's not. Because ultimately, I was going, do I want a smaller character? Do I want them? Do I want that? And, I started with a list of 25, and I chipped away, tried to order them, who's going near the top, who's doing that, and so on. And
Which Batgirl is it, Pete? You gotta pick one. Start your list off with.
He's got all of them on there.
I know he does. I know.
I do not.
He's only missing one.
I'll admit, Cassandra Cain almost became number 10. I'll admit it was close. It was
that
close.
Means the other two were somewhere between 9 and 1.
He's so predictable, isn't he?
He is.
Look, I love what I love. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to lie? Do you want me to go, oh no, I'm going to put... I don't know.
All right, just answer me this honestly. What position is Cold Snap?
Look good.
The look there, Pete's like, shit, I forgot Cold Snap.
Cold Snap number 10.
I could have had that as my troll number 1 before my real answer. You've ruined the joke now, Connor. It's gone. It's done.
Well, you deserve being predictable with all your Batgirls.
For the sake of brevity.
Okay, yeah. Right, okay. All right, number 10. And I went bold with this one. I went with someone a bit new. I wanted to get someone here who was a bit more recent to represent a new blood, right? And I think
if it's Duke, I walk. If it's Duke, I walk.
Your mate's going. Perfect timing. It's not Duke. My number 10 is Jessica Cruz.
I thought you might go with that. Once you started talking about new character, I was like, it's the only one it could be.
And honestly, she's been going up the ranks ever since Rebirth started. I've really come to like her, and I think because she has her anxiety, she has a very different voice to most other characters, not just Green Lanterns, just in general. You know, even if another hero's unsure of themselves, it doesn't play out the way she plays it out, where she's flat out just scared to leave the house. It's a very different thing. And I appreciate that, and she has a different kind of attitude. I don't feel like I get her type of character that often, especially for a hero. And then her ring's really funny, which again comes from her. So
Jaybird, she's an insecure Green Lantern.
I love it,
which is super rare. We haven't had that since early Kyle, and it's a different kind of insecurity.
And she beat out a few really more obvious choices to go in here, but I wanted to have at least something that wasn't as super obvious and predictable. So. Jessica Cruz, number 10. Thank you kindly. Connor, number 10.
Artemis. Okay. Theoax.
I almost did a spit take, Matt.
I wish I could throw something at you right now.
I know.
Matt, I know what his top 3 is going to be. Number 3 is going to be Jason Todd. Number 2 is going to be the second Robin. And then number 1 is going to be Red Hood.
Can I give my actual number 10 now?
Go for it.
Something.
No. My number 10 is Black Adam. I find him utterly fascinating. He's a villain, but he's not evil in the traditional sense.
Taking over a country by force is kind of evil.
Okay, sure, but you said in that sense he takes over by force, but then the people do love him. Like like they look up to him. He's a good leader. He's a good ruler.
I want them to fear how much they love me. That's Black Adam.
Yeah, but I think he's very interesting as a villain, and I don't think there's enough of that around.
All right, cool. No,
kicking off unexpected.
Yeah.
No, I feel like Connor's is going to have the more weird list out of us.
You haven't seen
it
my
gets
top
more
5.
normal as you go up.
I'm sure it does, but I feel like maybe Matt. I think Matt will have one or two really obscure characters, right? But I feel like Connor will have more less obvious choices. But that's just Matt. You're back to you. Number 9.
Yeah, so 9 was tough because I wanted to kind of in my top 10 want to represent every aspect of the DCU, and the one that I'm not that well versed in is the magical section. But I had it narrowed down to 2, and ultimately I went with Billy Batson, Captain Marvel, at number 9. He's a great character. He basically is the wish fulfillment character early on for kids. It's like, I want to be a superhero. He's a kid that actually becomes one with a magical word. And then what Johns and Frank did with him by making him like this shitty little kid who just, puts up shields, and he isn't Earth's Mightiest Mortal, but he's going to try, damn it. It's just a cool character. And he's Magic Superman, so, like...
He's a solid choice. He was on my, top 20 shortlist, just for the record.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's also why I chose him over the other character who I'm sure one of you two will have. And I'll let you know when we hit it.
Cool. I definitely do.
Yeah.
Magic-based? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know Connor's got someone.
Yeah.
My number 9 is Supergirl. As in the Kara Zor-El. I've actually... I've read
not Danvers, huh? Not Carol Danvers?
I've read some of Peter David's stuff, and it's good. I like it as well. But, no, we're talking classic Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, cousin of Kal-El.
Jeff Loeb, Michael Turner.
That whole shebang. Supergirl who's in the book just now. Supergirl who's on the TV show. I think I like the angle that comes with her. Because Superman, he has this, he was born in Krypton, he arrived here. Supergirl remembers it. She knew that life. Yeah. She remembers what it was like to go to school on Krypton. That's the
best thing about her.
Yeah. And it makes her a more interesting character in some ways, and she has to live up to this big cousin who was supposed to be a baby. If she doesn't already feel like shit that her parents and her planet's been destroyed, she now has to take lessons from the baby that she was supposed to look after. So there's this almost humbling and belittlement kind of vibe to it. And I like the direction that the recent ideas of her have been taken around this idea of compassion, this idea that she tries to help in ways that maybe... Not that Superman wouldn't help in those ways, but he doesn't just think that way. And she's making that her mission. And I've always been a fan. I grew up watching the movie and stuff. The movie's not very good, but I did see it at an early age.
Yeah.
So she's been a part of my superhero kind of lexicon for a long time. So, Connor, number 9.
Yeah, in the same way as Matt was talking about wanting to hit the various aspects of the DCU. This is one of those slots that get filled for me with the Green Lantern side. I don't love a lot of the Green Lantern characters. I think that I like a lot of them, but there's very few I love. But my favorite is Guy Gardner, because he's just the ultimate dude. He's so cool. He's just great.
Dude, he's a guy that's like, he gets you in trouble, and he's like, "Yo," but
then he's gonna buy you a beer, so it's all cool.
If this isn't a setup for Red Suit number 1, I don't know what is.
Oh man! So my number 8 was Supergirl, but there's nothing I can add to that to what Pete said. So I'm gonna call an audible and go with a more obscure character.
Okay,
and it also
nuts here.
Well, because it also fits in the. I had to sacrifice that spot to give it to Supergirl. And it was someone from the JSA. And there's so many good JSA characters there.
Admittedly, I don't have any in my top 10, but I did have 2 or 3 on my shortlist to get in there.
And it's kind of a cheat, because Captain Marvel always was JSA, but he's my magical character. So I'm going to pick Jesse Quick / Liberty Bell, who's the daughter of a speedster and a woman of super strength. And her powers are based off of basically an equation that she recites that gives her super speed, or a motto that her mom used, which would give her super strength. And she can alternate between them by which one she picks. And she's a fantastic character. I think she's married to Our Man, if I remember right. She's married to one of the
Our Men.
Yeah. She's just a great character. Johns did some great things. He shifted her from Jesse Quick to Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
After, the Flash stuff had happened before Barry had come back. So just great. But just say, I almost went Ted Grant too, but I have a lot of dudes coming up, so I needed to add a little bit of femininity there.
If the ones I was thinking of to almost put in don't come up, I'll mention them at the end. If no one says them. My number 8 is I'm probably stealing one from Matt's from higher up again, but Lois Lane is my number 8.
Too low, but okay.
Honestly, little spoiler here, she only just missed out on my list. She was at my 11.
She's the first lady of comics.
Yeah, that's basically it. She's also, her personality is such of a firecracker. She's such a go-getter. She's so tenacious. She'll get into places when she's not meant to. She'll fight Superman on things. She'll do all this stuff.
And that's who she's always been, too. I mean, Silver Age got a little wonky with her getting into trouble and Superman constantly having... But even early on, she was at Spitfire and took it to them and was a woman field reporter.
I think what's so perfect about it is that you get why he is head over heels for her. You get the attraction immediately because she is so attractive. And I mean, sure, people will draw her attractive. Fine, everyone's drawn attractive in comics.
In a world that wants his help, she would prefer not to have it.
Yeah, but she respects him that he does help and admires him for it. It's a very complex, and obviously you've even got that whole weird love triangle element as well with the doesn't like Clark but like Superman.
That was the one positive to Man of Steel, was her figuring it out, because she's that great of a reporter. It's not going to be one of those things that they can just act like it's not exist. So.
Yeah, but she's great. Connor?
For my 8, we're swinging back round to the JSA.
A lot of JSA on yours.
I mean, there's a few bits. The JSA are probably my favourite superhero team in general. So
you haven't read enough Legion of Superheroes, but that's okay.
Honestly, they may be my favourite team, but I can't. It's kind of this weird thing where I like them as a whole.
As a unit, yeah.
That's why I had a hard time putting one on.
No, I get that. But my 8 is Stargirl.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those Peter was talking about that was maybe in the running for him.
Yeah, it was for me, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's a phenomenal character. Obviously, John's based her after his own daughter. So it's very personal for him, which is why she often has these very had these very personal stories.
And I love that. I love that he looked at it and went, "Yeah, they're still calling her the New Star Spangled Kid. How about we make it a more digestible name? Yeah, Stargirl."
Well, and also you had Robinson wrapping up Starman, and Ted Knight needed somewhere to go. So, he bequeaths the cosmic staff, and she becomes Stargirl, and it's what Johns does best with Legacy. She is Legacy, and that's JSA.
Yeah, like I say, that is JSA in a nutshell. Is the idea of Legacy, which is kind of why they're maybe the ultimate team for me in sense of DC at least, because they represent what I think of as the DC universe, which is Legacy.
Well, I think that's what partly appeals to her to us is that she is kind of like some of the other characters who we see more as a teenager at first, and she grows into the role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's looking at it through this perspective of her legacy. She has to live up to this. What does this mean for her to take on this mantle? And I think it's just some great story stuff for her, and it's just a fantastic character.
Cool. 7.
So my number 7 is gonna go to the greatest hero you guys have never heard of, and that's Booster Gold. Which, of course, we've all heard of him, but that was his tagline.
I'm pretty sure there's another hero I've not heard of that you keep claiming is pretty great.
Nice.
It was so easy. It was so easy.
It is. He went from a punchline to being one of the most interesting characters, from 52. And that's really where my love of the character comes from. Is he probably has the best arc throughout 52. starts just as this pompous, preening jerk who lost his best friend, doesn't know how to take it, to being a world-class superhero.
Do you know what he is, actually, at the start of 52? You've seen Mystery Men?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember the pure like corporate hero in that, who has like the Pepsi logos and stuff on. He's got sponsorship. Yeah. He's basically that at the start. Yeah.
Well, that's when they were designing his character 52. They based it off of a NASCAR jacket, and you could see all who his sponsors were. And through 52, he has this change and becomes a great multiverse hero, and has now been like, anytime something weird, he's almost like DC's kind of the Watcher anymore. Anytime a big event happens, you get to see Booster Gold's perspective going, oh, that's not how that's supposed to work. So, and he has a whole time traveling origin, which I just love, because he can't win in the future, so he comes to the past because he knows how it's going to go. So he's going to cheat in the system. Yeah. And just his relationship with Ted Cord is... Yeah. There's a lot of Teds. I've realized this now, putting this list together. A lot of Teds throughout DC. Ted Grant, Ted Cord, Ted Knight.
But none of them are like huge either. It's a lot of C-listers named Ted.
Yeah. I always thought it was a big deal.
It's like
Bruce Banner
someone really wanted a Ted to make it big, and they just kept trying.
It just kept not quite. I mean, sure, DC nerds like us know them, but like they just didn't quite get to the point where.
Yeah.
Oh, well, my number 7, and not super. Oh, this isn't like an obvious choice. I think in general, I think this is obvious for me. But number 7 is the Waffle Queen, Stephanie Brown.
There's the first Batgirl, guys.
She's the third Batgirl.
She is the third.
For me, this is kind of like a simple thing. Like, I didn't know her super well when she, back when she appeared, a spoiler, and she was dating Tim and all that stuff. I've sort of dived back into some of it, obviously later on. But her Batgirl series, 2009, 2011, that ran for about 24 issues, is one of my favourites. I love that book. It basically takes the idea that's, like a Buffy type of character, and makes her Batgirl, and it has her dealing with these different things. It's got humour, it's got her dealing with stupid teenage stuff, whilst also trying to be a superhero. And it's such a different dynamic to what I actually didn't read it at the time, but I've now read some of it since. The Cassandra Cain stuff, which is very different. That's like a broken character who learned her first language is fighting, and it's like a very intense character. Whereas Stephanie Brown's like a regular teenage girl who's just doing this because she's kind of fell into it, and it. She's a fascinating little character. It's just fun. I recommend that Batgirl run for anyone who's not read it.
To do. Yep. Brian Q. Miller. Fantastic.
24 issues, singles. Great. Reads super quick as well.
Yes, it does.
And maybe the best issue is an issue where she tries to teach Damien how to be a kid, and it's
well, she has to babysit him. She gets the biggest challenge of any hero, and that's babysit Robin.
So no, that's Stephanie Brown, Waffle Queen. Number 7, that is.
All right, for my 7, another lady, but we're delving back into the magic, and I'm sure you both know what's coming here.
Say it backwards if you want to do this properly.
No, I will not, because I will trip up on it. Because I am very hungry, because it has been a long time since I've eaten.
How do you say Red Hood backwards?
To be fair,
that one.
To be fair, we could have all eaten it before we started recording this, and it would still feel like a long time since we've eaten. By the time we're done.
True.
That is true. I mean, I guess backwards it would be Anataz.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And I know that because she showed up. Anataz showed up in an issue of Countdown to Final Crisis, and she said words upside down. It was weird and awful, and I don't recommend Countdown to Final Crisis to anybody.
I don't think anyone does. Yeah, I want to see her and Bizarro try to have a conversation. But she's trying to use magic, and he's trying to someone who kind of speaks like me but not quite.
Yeah.
Well, she literally says words backwards. Yeah. He gets the syntax backwards, so it would be. Yeah.
That's why I said. That's why I said not quite, but
Yeah.
But
just explain it to people that might not know with Bizarro, thinking that he's speaking words backwards.
No, not quite.
That is true. But no, I love Zatanna. I think she's obviously the epitome of the magical side of things, but I think she's also often the bridge to the superheroic sides as well, because unlike a lot of the magic characters, she's actually good. She's like a good person rather than just in it for the magic, which makes her this perfect bridge between the worlds, which is why I always connect with her quite honestly.
Cool. Number 6.
So this is where my favorite Ginger comes in, and Connor already mentioned him, but it's Guy Gardner. He's just lovable jerk. Is everything he does, from even when he's the warrior and has this weird Voldarian technology coming through his DNA, to having the Warriors bar that, when he was in between stints as heroes, to even being in the Green Lantern Corps, taking over as drill instructor. He's just a lovable jerk.
He's that dick best friend, isn't he?
Yes, he's the guy that was like, yeah, but it was funny though, right?
Yeah, and he'll pull shit like that all the time. But if it came down to it, he's got your back.
Yep. And now he's matured into a leadership position. And you're just kind of like,
wait a minute. Well. He is matured into an eye ripping out person.
Oh, yeah. Leadership position. That's what you do to bring in our Arkello, Pete.
Yeah. That was the ultimate show of leadership to the Yellows. I mean, that's what
he did it
brings
without
them into
his
line.
Ring. Like, he shut his ring off and said, I'm going to go snatching eyes. And that's what he did. So, but yeah, Guy Gardner, my favorite Green Lantern. For the longest time, it was Hal Jordan. But the longer I get from John's, I realize I just like John's take on Hal Jordan. But I've read multiple different writers on Guy, and I love them all equally. Whether it's Tomasi or I'm trying to think who else wrote him in since. But Tomasi's, his really comes to mind from Emerald Knight.
Even Venditti at the minute, as much as we go, we really don't like his Hal. Yeah. His Guy is fantastic.
Yeah, that it is.
Cool. My number 6 is Barry Allen. Who I feel like when we get to these bigger names, it's almost like what do you even want me to say? He's the Flash.
Yeah. I got stuff to say on the Flash when we get there.
I think part of why I like the Flash so much, though, of course, is all the different avenues the story takes. I think one of the things that DC does well with these different characters is that a Green Lantern story feels really different because it's in space and it's all these other things. A Flash story feels really different because you have time travel and you have more connections to multiverse and all these fantastic. And obviously, he's got a big rogues gallery and all the rest of it. He's kind of sometimes. He's sometimes overlooked as kind of a dull character, but he, especially in recent years, I know some people aren't a big fan of it, but I actually really like the whole Reverse Flash went back in time and killed his mum sort of twist on his character, because I feel like it gives him a drive, it gives him this extra thing, especially with his arch nemesis.
So for a while, Brian Buccellato was coming to the Comic Cons here in Vegas, so I got to talk to him a lot, and I got to talk to him about what makes Barry tick and why he's more than just a guy who runs fast. And even before the stuff with his mom and Thawne happened, he has a sense of justice that not even Batman or Superman has, because he works in the justice system. He's a crime scene investigator, and it's his job to literally prove bad guys had done this.
I think that's something that before he had this tragic origin as well, even despite that, he still he was like, no, I need to do something. I need to make things better.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. I like the tragic origin though, because it adds a bit of mystery to it, and also because obviously there's been this mystery of why does Reverse Flash, why does Thawne hate him, and we don't really know. And it's like, well, he must really hate him because he went back in time and killed his mother.
Yeah, the mystery's not gone.
Yeah, so I like that. I like what that does to him. But they're right. The forensic thing is really unique as well, because he is the only one who's also. I mean, he's not exactly a cop, but he's basically a cop.
Yeah.
He's. I think that it puts this interesting spin on it though, because he knows he needs evidence. He has to look for evidence rather than say Superman, who will punch the guy and bring him in.
Well, just bring him in, let them deal with it. Special Crimes Unit can deal. But that's what happens with That's why the death of Eobard Thawne is such a huge story from that era, because he becomes judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah.
And after he oversteps the line, Barry's like, well, I'm going to deal with it myself.
And it betrays who he is, and that's a big deal.
Exactly. It drives Wally forward, going, I can never let that happen. I have to be better than Barry, because look at all the consequences.
Yeah. So that's basically, yeah. I actually did debate taking him off for a reason that will become clear soon.
Okay.
Because possibly Flashes might all still be represented without him, and I maybe wanted to mix it up, but I didn't feel right moving him because he kind of deserves to be up there for me. So.
No, I was just going to say, it'll be really interesting to see by the end of this. Obviously, we're all saying we would try to represent various areas. It'll be interesting to see if we all end up with the completely different Flash representation. But
so you're going to have new Wally then, is what you're saying?
Oh,
or Bart.
Or Bart, yeah.
So what are we on? 6?
6, yeah.
6.
Okay, my 6 is Barbara Gordon, and again, this is another one of those where we're getting to the point where it kind of goes without saying, she's one of those characters who's grown over time so much that typically in comics you don't see that often because there's such it's just reset so often. And even if not in terms of as a universe reset, stories are updated and they're kind of in a perpetual state of the same, whereas she has actually grown over the ages quite a lot.
Do you know what I like about that as well? You know, so some people, I think Killing Joke over the years has drawn a lot more criticism for how it kind of treated her. It just kind of done it for what it meant in the story rather than really considering what it was for her. And I like the idea that other writers took what happened to her as an actual tragedy of writing on top of the actual tragedy of the character and built something out of it, almost like the character herself went through. There's a nice story
people
there.
Say, Killing Joke, it has its issues and whatever, but I wouldn't change it because it gave us what we think of now as Barbara Gordon.
Well, it gave us the best version, and for me that's Oracle, because she's I'll just tack on because she's my number 5 is Barbara Gordon.
That rolled in nicely.
It does, didn't it?
Right. So whether she's the first Batgirl, and Commissioner Gordon's daughter, and wanting to kind of ride that line between her dad and Batman, to Oracle being like the go-to, you need info in your superhero, to mentoring people like Stephanie Brown.
Yeah,
in that book.
She's really great in that series in the way that she's like, no, this is what Batgirl means. It's not just the suit. It's not being Batman. It's something else.
It is worth pointing out that Batgirl Stephanie Brown series that I highly recommended does feature her in that book as a mentor. Like she's a main character in that.
She's quite a big part of that book. But even now where she's got back in the suit, it feels like she still has experience. So she's still grown as a character over the years, and that stuff still plays into her in the suit now.
Yeah.
Well. And then you get on her relationship with Dick Grayson, and that's another one of my favorite things too, because they grew up together, but they're kind of always destined to do that dance around one another and come back and leave and be complicated. And it's just great.
Cool. My number 5 is Wally West, which is why I almost took Barry Allen off, but you know what? No. Wally wins. Wally wins because as much as I love Barry, Wally, he's kind of the soul of the DCU, but it's also because he is that first giant representation of the idea of legacy, the idea of taking the mantle,
legacy.
And making it something for an entire generation. He's their Flash. He grew up. He became the main Flash. He had years of good stories. He had. I think you had the Mark Waid run, you had the Jeff Johns run, you had 2 of these big Titanic runs that people look at and go, those were big deals in comics.
I will never forget where I was when he came back with the Lightning Saga. It's one of those moments that reading comics and you kind of hinting at it and then it's there.
And there's a reason why, when Rebirth started and we were all like super excited that Wally coming back was the sign that we needed that, yes, things are changing for the better. We understand what went wrong.
Yeah, it was never that we had a problem with new Wally. At the time, I think he was much more less interesting because it had just been Venditti.
He wasn't developed as...
Yeah, we didn't really know who he was. He's just a random kid.
Yeah, exactly, but he wasn't Wally West.
No.
Yeah. So no, that's basically it. Also just the idea. Reading through Johns's run about him, and the ultimate message of that entire run, which goes through some dark periods, is that the Flash is not about tragedy. The idea that he is avoiding this idea that he needs a tragedy in his life to be a superhero is a really kind of
Well, that
Heartwarming
that
story.
is Hunter Zolomon. That is his Zoom.
Yeah.
That's his MO, is make you a better hero through tragedy. And Wally's like, nah, man.
Yeah, exactly. Number 5, Connor.
So, sticking with the flashes, I have Jay Garrick at 5, actually.
Oh, man.
And
You guys don't have any idea how this is going to cycle back through. Just we're so in sync sometimes.
Remember I said there was a couple of JSA members that almost made it? Jay Garrick's another one.
he's kind of the granddaddy of the DCU. He's there at the top. And it's this idea that, he's back in the golden age with Superman and Batman, but whereas they stayed as they were, he kind of disappeared for a while when we got to Barry Allen, and things kind of moved on and we got the legacy. But once they brought him back, it meant they could age him up and he could have an impact in a whole new way that really just elevated him just to this entirely different level.
Yeah.
And the way he kind of looks after the whole Flash family, the wider DCU as a whole as well, but specifically the Flash family, like they all look to him. He is the family patriarch.
Yep. He helped raise Bart Allen. Like they
exactly.
Sent him with him. Yeah. So that leads to my number 4, which is the Flash as the legacy from Garrick all the way up.
This cheating scumbag.
No, it's not, because I couldn't pick who I want more. So it's characters, right?
If someone was going to cheat.
Oh my god. I picked the Flash as a mantle. It covers all of the characters.
And it does. From Jay Garrick. Even Max Mercury you can throw in there. Even though he's not technically a Flash. But I can't pick. I can't pick between the Flashes because for the longest time Wally was my Flash. But I've read Barry now for an extended amount of time, and I really like Barry. And then there's Jay Garrick and everything he does. And then Bart Allen, who's no longer around, at least not yet. He's off hanging out with Connor in No Man's Land, And yeah, and then you had Wally's kids, and it's fantastic. Flash Rebirth really nails all of this. And Flash is about that. It is legacy. It's like Pete was talking with Wally West. He was the first hero to take on the sidekick, to take on the hero's role. Before Dick Grayson was ever Batman, before, I'm trying to think some of the others who have taken over.
I was going to say, I love how the Flash is actually like a family. Like, obviously some of them are literally family, but others are this just adoptive family, more so than the Bat family, because they're much more spread out. Some are tighter than others.
Bruce just adopts everybody. It's like, that's it.
Sure, they may be technically family, and they are, but they're more spread out in the sense, whereas the Flash always feels like, no, this is one cohesive family unit that, they could all live under the same roof, and that's, you could always have a sitcom of the Flashes. Just all of them in a house. I'd watch that so much.
Speed House? I don't know. Fast House, there you go. And then they could reboot it years later as Faster House.
Faster.
That's good.
Furiouser House.
No, you ruined it. My number 4.
That's my point.
My number 4 is Barbara Gordon.
Shocker.
Yeah, not a surprise. But I left something out because we were obviously talking about it when Connor brought her up. But I did leave one thing out to just add on to my entry for. Is everything I said before, obviously I agree with and we spoke, but I love that she forced her way into it. Like one of the things I love about Batgirl Year One specifically, but it's been a part of her character throughout, is the idea that so Batman and Robin are a thing, and she decides to make her own costume and go and do it herself because she feels the need to do so, and Batman catches her and says, "No, stop that." But then Batman learns she's not going to listen to you. She's going to do it anyway. You can't win this fight. You can win a lot of fights, but you can't win this.
Yeah. It gets to a point where Bruce respects her determination. Yeah. It's like, all right, well, if you're going to do it, might as well do it properly.
And this is a girl of two fathers. The two fathers being Jim Gordon, who is like the one noble cop left in Gotham, in the early days, and then Batman. So she's got these two heroic figures to look up to and
one obviously works through the law and one out of it, which really shapes her as well.
Yeah, and it really gives her a different perspective. And as everything was said about her going through changes and everything she's went through and all the rest of it, but no, Barbara Gordon. Number 4, Connor.
Tim Drake. Tim
Drake
Drake is my favorite Robin. I think
he's the best Robin.
He is the best Robin. He is the natural successor to Bruce as Batman. He is the detective. And
yeah, we're talking about legacies. He is.
Yeah,
Grayson's his own person.
Damian can want it all he wants, but it's Tim's right if he wants it.
You're number 1. Jason's never going to touch it. So, he has his own mantle. So,
his mantle's a bloody crowbar.
And I feel that's why that's on his mantle. I feel that's why Mr. Oz is taking him out. Is you remove him from play, and you don't have someone meddling around. You already have to deal with that with Bruce and Barry.
Tim's
you don't need the teenage wonder.
He's smart enough, and he has the free time to free himself up, and he can figure these things out. Whereas obviously Bruce is always occupied with something else because
But by the way, just a quick side note since you mentioned the crowbar, Joker's finishing move in Injustice 2 involves being like repeatedly slapped in the face with a crowbar. I just wanted to put that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, he also puts you in an electric chair first and then hits you repeatedly with a crowbar. It's pretty brutal. It's brutal as shit.
Yeah.
Not very funny. Not very funny.
Also, just to get back to Tim, just for a moment before we move on, I love his origin. Shut up.
I don't know. I feel like the memory's fading. He's been gone so long now.
Oh, don't you dare!
I'm only jesting. I would never do that to Tim.
His origin of him, realizing that Batman needs a Robin to balance this out, and his again, it's kind of similar to what you were saying about Barbara Gordon there, where she was determined to do it. Tim does this as well. He figures it out and he proves himself. And it's with Barbara, it's just the sheer determination that proves that she's just not going to give up. So she has to, might as well not fight it. Whereas with Tim, he proved himself on an intellectual level where it's like, no, he is my equal. He gets this. He earned this.
He's the only other character Ra's al Ghul addresses as the detective.
Yes, and I'm still pissed off. They stole that origin from him in New 52 and gave it to Dick. And I love Dick. Don't get me wrong. But
yeah, you do.
I'm cutting that out. I'm cutting that out of context. And
look,
if you want that sound bite,
do you know the amount of times we can cut that out of you saying that?
Yeah, but Pete means it.
Yeah, you know what I mean when I say it. But I'm cutting that out.
Do
I think that's a new Patreon tier for what can I charge for that? That's worth a lot. I think like $500. You can get an audio recording of Connor saying I loved it.
Break some laws now. Charging for loving Dick is keep me out of that one. And no implications.
But god, yeah, no. In the New 52, they stole that origin. They gave it to Dick, and he had the moment where he saw the teeth grinding. And he was like, "Oh, that Batman. That's it does the same as Bruce, doesn't he?" And it just really cheapened it, and that annoyed me. I'm still annoyed. I'm still bitter years later. It doesn't even really matter anymore. I'm still bitter.
We're erasing that slowly from history.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, but I love him.
All right, number 3, Matt. I wonder how similar our top 3 are, because I feel like none of us have mentioned any of my top 3 yet, and I feel like we're all going to have the same 3 characters.
There's 2 in mind that are guaranteed. Obviously, one of mine's actually a villain, as I spoiled earlier.
Oh,
so
right, okay.
So my number 3 is Lois Lane. Again, First Lady of Comics. She's a hero in her own right without having to ever put on a costume. Although she has in times. But yeah, Pete already talked about her at his number 8, but she's bar none my favorite of the female characters. And she's a perfect match for Big Blue. And now she gets to be super mom. And like we talked about earlier, you get a lot of great expressions from her trying to raise the superpowered preteen. And that's a whole new challenge to being an ace reporter. But yeah, Lois Lane, number 3. Let me guess Pete's 3. We've already gone through all the Batgirls. I'm calling my shot right now. It's Commissioner Gordon.
It's Superman.
Oh, you crap.
Oh, that is like heinously low for Matt.
Number 3 is heinously low?
No. I didn't really think you were going to put him on there because you knew I was going to represent so hard.
Oh, no.
So I figured...
He's still got to be on there, hasn't he?
Look, Superman... there was 2 superheroes as a kid that made me love superheroes. And Superman was one of them. All right?
You're going to go... Spider-Man and Batman, and then Superman.
No, that's why I think the first time I ever saw anything Spider-Man was in 2002 when the movie came out. I never seen the animated series.
I didn't see it either, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just missed it. Same with X-Men. I never seen the X-Men cartoon growing up.
I saw little bits of X-Men, but you stick Batman animated series in front of me. You know.
Oh, now it's time to sit down, put the lights out, and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't care how old I am.
So, man, I mean, again, like, what the hell did I say about why Superman just don't? So Superman is the superhero. He's the archetype of superhero that everyone aspires to. There's a reason why people say, "What's your kryptonite?" There's a reason why when someone's describing a weakness, to say that's your kryptonite. There's a reason why people can, when they're doing like a spoof of a superhero, the costume always looks similar to Superman's because he is the superhero. Without Superman, we have none of this. We have no DCU, we have no Marvel Universe, we have none of it. None of it exists if Superman wasn't created.
Well, Superman, Marvel is still timely. Think about that. They're doing more comics, not superhero comics. That's what I meant, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Connor.
Excellent point. Aye, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Lex Luthor. I think
another Superman.
Yeah, not only is he my favorite villain in the DC universe, I think he's my favorite villain of all time in anything.
This is a swerve for me because I am not sure what your top 2 are now because because I feel like there's
things just got exciting.
Because not only is there,
it means one of the ones you're expecting is no longer on my top 10.
But that's the thing, though. Even out of the stuff that I had, there's another one that I also expect you to have. So there's actually there's 4 that
y'all can guess my 2. It's not even be a surprise.
There was 4 I was expecting from you, or I could have expected from you from this top 3, and that was none of them. So I'm curious, but continue. Lex Luthor.
To be fair, if I did actually just forget one when we come to it, and I'm like, shit, I really should have put that in there. I did knock this list up while you guys were talking about Super Sons.
True.
No, you went, shit, I needed a spot for Red Hood, so...
There was only 2 villains that came close to getting onto my list, and I wanted to keep it more,
I assume Lex was one of them.
But Lex was one of them, Poison Ivy was the other.
Poison Ivy was close to mine as well, actually. Yeah. But Lex Luthor is, he is my favorite villain in all of media. I think he is just such a phenomenal villain. It's he doesn't think he's a villain. The idea that he thinks he is mankind's greatest hope, he's their savior, and it's just every iteration, if it's businessman, scientist, whatever, that they all work because
businessman, scientist is the greatest.
Sure, but the point is, those details don't even matter. It's this core concept of Lex's jealousy and his superiority that make him who he is.
Yep, I agree with that.
He's petty, and that's my favorite take on him is Jeff Loeb in Superman for All Seasons, where everything was going great, and then the aliens showed up. And that's all you need to know about Lex Luthor,
isn't it? Yeah.
Even right now, the fact that he wants to be called Superman, it's all about measuring that dick. That's all it is.
It is.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. But he's such a great man, in a traditional respect. He does all these great things. He has this big company. He's so successful. It all doesn't matter to him because someone else can one-up him. And
someone else out there is getting by on natural talents that he didn't work for. That's just given to him, and Lex worked for everything.
Yeah.
So
he's kind of the ultimate capitalist in that sense.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. When Superman started, he was the everyman. He was the I'm going to fight for the rights of the people. And who's holding them down? It's these, corporate overlords. And that's why in Morrison's Action Comics run, that's why he's the businessman scientist version.
Yeah.
That, and it works perfectly.
It does.
So, although that just ruined, that jag ruined my segue, which is going to be, speaking about dicks, and number 2 is Dick Grayson, the heart of the DC universe. You said that Wally is the soul, and that's why they go together so well. He is the guy that ties everyone together. Everyone loves Dick Grayson. Everyone loves Dick. And if you say you don't, you're a liar. He's my favorite Batman. He's my favorite Robin, even though I realize that Tim's the best Robin, and Damian might encroach on that territory. My favorite always is the guy that he was raised doing it, and he wants to be different from his dad. That's why he goes and becomes Nightwing and handles it on his own way. And yeah, it's nothing much else I can say.
Cool. My number 2 is Batman. What?
I hate you.
I almost thought that because I was like, okay, so Matt's not got Batman.
No, I don't.
Of course Matt doesn't.
No,
I have a Batman.
I have Batman as a mantle. It includes all Batmans.
I mean, you could do that, and Bruce still wouldn't be the top Batman. It's still Dick. So
no. But I'm talking about Bruce Wayne here. I'm talking about the Batman, right?
Who the hell's your number 1? I am lost. I thought you think you know.
I don't think he's had Dick yet, has he?
I've had plenty of Dick.
Yeah.
Batman is the character that, like, obviously I grew up in the animated series. Batman, the movie Batman Begins is the thing that made me read a comic book. It was
you're the story that they tell.
Yeah.
That these movies will drive you to the comics.
It was his story. It's his drive. It was kind of realizing who the Batman actually was and understanding the character that made me fascinated and made me want to go digging and dive deeper. And what is the character actually? It's not just this goofy Tim Burton-ass movie and Batman and Robin from '97. Like, it's not that. There's more to this. There's actually good stories in there that are deeper.
There's gravitas.
There's gravitas. That's a good word. The idea that the city's corrupt and he has to rise up against it. It's not just, my parents got killed and now it's kind of vengeance as I take my bloodlust, if you will, out on the criminals of the city. It's not that. Down it.
If I had a drink next to me, I would, but we've been going so damn long that it's gone.
I just realized that if Connor doesn't have Red Hood, I'm gonna walk. This is number 1. But yeah, Batman. I understand how important Batman is, and he is responsible for a whole generation of comic readers at this point. Yeah, between the animated series and all the movies, and there's a reason he translates well over.
Yeah,
he's iconic.
It's the idea that it comes back to kind of like Barbara. It's that determination. It's that I don't give a shit what you throw at me. I'm coming for you.
He's Lex Luthor if Lex Luthor had... That's what I'm looking for. Not morals or ethics, but, like an integrity to him. Because Bruce Wayne could easily be Lex Luthor and, be defined by the chip on his shoulder, but he's not. He wants to be better for humanity, Yeah. And if he has to push it there himself, he will.
And even the idea of, like, becoming this Bat character to instill fear and, the idea of theatricality to do this, to become a character that makes people fear or even just makes people think you're a symbol so that you can be used in this way. That very idea is basically almost an analysis of superheroes. That you make them larger than life to make them mean something. That makes them what they are. And the idea that he chooses to do that, he uses that as a tool, is kind of fascinating. And yeah, obviously some writers go a bit nuts and they make him basically as indestructible as Superman without ever actually saying it. But that's just that's basically just a fault of action movies and stories in general, really. I mean,
it's lazy writing.
Yeah,
and that's what Morrison always pointed out. You have the Bat God who, he was never interested in writing. He wants to write the Batman.
The point I'm making, though, he's not the character that's guilty with. He's not the only character that's guilty with it. Go watch Die Hard 4 and complain why Bruce Willis is the Terminator, and that makes it fun. But also the idea that he, at his core, does feel like an unstoppable force. I love that idea that if he set his mind to it, nothing's going to get in the way of doing it.
Did you ever read the Superman Batman story where he ends up with Superman's powers and he gets drunk with power?
I don't think I did.
No.
Yeah, it's really good. It's from that Batman Superman run that Jeff Loeb started. And it's high up. It's in the 40s or the 50s, but something happens. They swap powers, and where Superman can compartmentalize.
Oh, wait a minute. What do you mean swap powers?
They swap powers. What
does Superman get?
Superman's powers get nothing.
Well, that's not a swap. It's
It's a
Superman
taking and giving to one to the other.
Okay. But, so, Batman now has all of the stuff of Batman, the drive, the determination, all of this, plus the powers of Superman. And it kind of drives him mad, and he starts chasing the night, because it's always night somewhere. And Superman has to get together with Alfred and Dick Grayson and this core group of people to rein him in until they can get Superman's powers back into Superman. It's like a 3-issue arc. If you guys can track it down, I highly recommend it.
They're doing the big thick trades of that. I think they're almost done with it, actually. They've been doing the whole thing. I do plan to read it all at some point. I've read the first couple of trades before. But
I've read the first 2 trades.
Yeah, the Supergirl introduction and the first arc. I've read those for sure. And I might have read the third one as well. But but even just Batman's rogue gallery is so diverse. But I like the idea that, and this is maybe some of my favourite Bat stories, are when they properly treat his villains like a horror story, and he has to deal with these horrors. Grant Morrison's Arkham Asylum, A Serious House and A Serious Earth, when he feels like he's getting into the madhouse. The fact that he has an insane asylum where his villains are stored, when that's where they're imprisoned, kind of brings the idea that Batman can be this horror story on top of, Superman, it's big monsters, not always, but you can do that kind of thing. Green Lantern's it's in space, Flash it's sci-fi, timey-wimey stuff, more, that kind of stuff. Wonder Woman it's more mythical creatures and mythical ideas. Batman it's these closer to, someone could be the Joker. Someone, and that almost makes him more horrifying because it is just an insane person. And likewise, that whole, he's also a force of nature, so you have this force of nature versus force of nature aspect on either side of the coin, and I like that. I like that examination of humanity, almost. But no, that's Batman.
I get that, but before I give my number 2, I just want to say, to narrow it down a little bit further, Batman is not on my list. And that's because a lot of what you were saying there, it's kind of the way Matt was talking about Flash. You were talking about the idea of Batman, and I get that. But when I was thinking of characters, Bruce Wayne is what I'm looking at here. Yeah. I'm going, for me, Bruce Wayne is not on my top 10. Batman as an idea is, but Bruce Wayne isn't. So it got a bit murky.
But here's the argument here that I'd give you with that, is I think he is Batman, and Bruce Wayne's the Mask.
Well, it depends what run you look at. I mean, if you look at the run right now with Tom King, I'd say absolutely not. Batman, it's Bruce Wayne. It's he's there. He's this broken boy who lost his parents. That's what this is.
I think that's always a part of him, though. I don't think I've ever. I think with Superman, there's definitely a clear distinction where sometimes it's. They make it more about it's Clark and Superman's just a costume he puts on to do what he does, and then sometimes no, he's Superman and Clark's a sort of disguise to sort of trick people, and then sometimes it's neither. Sometimes it's the farm boy and those two. But I feel like with Batman, the idea that the Batman himself is who he is, like that's how he's determined to do that. The actual Bruce Wayne that we mostly see is just the facade.
Yeah, perhaps. It depends how you want to look at it. But for me, I couldn't put the Batman as an idea in one of my top characters because Bruce Wayne, while he has things going for him, I don't find him that interesting compared to any of the others that I've mentioned.
I see what you're saying, but for me, the way I interpret it, Batman is the character.
I can see it both ways. I just wanted to justify why I don't have it on my top 10. So my number 2 is Superman, and I feel like what can we say that hasn't been covered? I mean, Pete's already just gone on about it, and I want to wait and let Matt have his
I've got a feeling Matt's about to go nuts with this.
It's not really a surprise at this point, is it? But I'll let him have his real moment in a minute. But it's the idea. Peter mentioned that it was Batman and Batman Begins that got him into comics. For all its faults, for me, it was Smallville. I accept it is not a good show. I do not pretend to argue otherwise, but it holds a special place in my heart for it introducing me. I mean, obviously, I watched the Superman movies as a kid, but that introduced me to the mythos on a bit of a larger scale.
You get into Clark's head.
Yeah, and it made me showed me things where I was like, I want to see more of this. I want to know more about these things. And it's so I had to go and look for those answers in the comics, obviously. Whereas with the movies, I never felt the need to dive deeper because it never presented those ideas. It was just, no, this is a good movie.
Admittedly, I'm a little bit late with this joke because I was letting the cat in over there. Yeah. But what do you mean inside his head? There's nothing in his head in that show. It's just air. Tom Welling, it looks like the emptiest human being I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it's because he's Kryptonian. He's not human, Pete.
Kryptonians still have brains.
Yeah, it's no Brainiac, and that's why.
I like how that just proper stumped you for a second.
Throw curveballs.
But yeah, like I said, go on.
We're gonna jump to number one, and I realized making my list I didn't have a member of the Legion of Superheroes on my list. Right, I gotta rep the Legion, but when you have Superman as your number one, you always rep the Legion because without Superman, there is no Legion. And that's why I love the Legion so much, because they are inspired by Superman to be better than what you are. Sure, he was born with these powers and the sun gives it to him, but he was raised properly by the Kents, and he still wants to be a good person. He has all of this power, and the old adage of, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. He won't let that happen. And that's why I always have such issues with the whole evil Superman trope, whether it's in comics, games, movies. Because I feel as much as the Bat-God's lazy writing, evil Superman is kind of kind of lazy writing. Unless you're going to do something like Red Sun and put a spin on it where he's not actually evil, it's a different culture he was raised in. And it's different, you know. But he's also the ultimate, he's an alien. He's an immigrant, and he doesn't let those circumstances determine his future. And he goes on to become a reporter, and so he's changing the world through being a superhero, but also by trying to cover it as news.
It's in the same way that we talked about how Barry has this need to investigate through the law with the forensics
justice.
Yeah, Clark's kind of the same, where he has to get to the truth of things, and he does that through being a reporter.
Don't sit in that. Windows noise. Cat. No.
But yeah. I mean, and you just look. Superman is. Whereas Batman's very proactive, Superman's reactive, and that's something I can always identify with. He has to take the punches as they come. He can't go out there and you never know when Brainiac's going to invade.
This is just going off something you said a second ago. I was distracted by Cat lying on the keyboard.
I saw.
I like to think that Batman and Superman are very. I mean, I say this a lot about them being two sides of the same coin in a lot of ways, but I like the idea that Superman is an example of what happens when you have two kind, loving parents who give you everything, and Batman's an example of how you might not have that and still come through okay, but they're both very different as a result of those.
They complement each other, and that's why I love when they're the world's finest, and you can put them together. And if you're listening and haven't read Public Enemies, the Jeff Loeb, Ed McGuinness, it's the first volume of Superman Batman that we were talking about earlier. Jeff Loeb does this really cool thing where he has the alternate character talk about the other. So there's a narration box next to Superman, and it's Batman's take on why he admires Clark, and then it's the opposite with Clark to Batman. And again, it's not Superman and Batman talking about each other, it's their alter egos talking about the superhero.
Yeah.
And it's just this really clever way that it sets them up. They're different, but they're equal.
Yeah, I think that book is a really easy one to say to people. This is why they work so well as a pairing, not just as individual characters. This is what makes them a unique pairing.
It's what makes the DCU. The fact that so many of these characters, you put them together and they have interesting relationships. And they're interesting because they're so different. And I think that's maybe part of the failing of the movie. Not to go on a tangent about the movies, but I think that's part of the failing of the movies is that they're trying to make everything feel like it belongs together. But the reason why it worked in the books is because they don't belong together, and it's the differences that make them spark.
Yeah, and that's kind of the idea of America is, it's all these cultures that clash together, and
it's a patchwork quilt.
Yeah,
like if you look at a patchwork quilt in tiny little compartments, it looks like a mess. But you look back and you see how each complements the other. How Flash and Batman recently can be total bros about the justice system and figuring things out. To when Superman and Martian Manhunter, when they have a thing, because they're both the last of their kind, and they both want to do right by their legacy, and it's these fun little things that you can do. So, and that and with legacy and whatnot, I think I figured out Pete's number one. is get to it.
Well, I think what I also love about Batman and Superman is when they sit down together, sometimes Batman and Superman will just sit down and talk about how much they both love Dick. And I feel like that leads me nicely to my number one, which is Dick Grayson. And this is partly because he's a product of both Batman and Superman in a really weird way. He's the child of the DCU who grew up and became something himself. Dick becoming Batman and him trying to live up to that name when he doesn't really even feel comfortable doing it out of a sense of duty is one of my favourite sort of time periods in Batman's sort of history. His relationship with everyone is great. His relationship with Wally, his relationship with Alfred, Damian, obviously Bruce, Barbara. He has such good relationships with so many characters.
He was with Connor Kent when he died. Like, they were buddies.
So no, I don't want to harp on. I think it's obvious that why someone likes Dick. He is Batman meets Spider-Man, and that is glorious.
Yeah, that's fair.
So before I say mine, Pete, you said there was a few options that it could have been. You weren't sure. What were the ones left that it could be?
I forget. What have you said for 4, 3, and 2?
4, 3, and 2 were Tim Drake, Lex Luthor, and Superman.
If it's Constantine, you're fired.
I was well, you explained Batman. I was expecting the Batman at some point. Yeah. I was also. I think I know what your number one is. Maybe I don't, because I was also expecting a Dick Grayson, but I don't think it's Dick Grayson. I think I know what your number one is.
What do you think?
But I think it's really weird that you didn't have Dick Grayson now that we've got to the end.
It's Wonder Woman.
What do you think my number one is?
Oh, it's Catwoman.
You're wrong. It's Dick Grayson.
Oh. Swerve.
Yeah.
That's Red Hood.
Now you're one off. He was next. He was next corner.
To give my reason, along with obviously everything you've just said.
Yeah.
There's been maybe some themes of my list as to what make up the various aspects of the DC universe. Obviously, there's been the ideas of legacy. When I spoke about Zatanna, I spoke about how she bridged worlds. When I spoke about Barbara, I talked about the evolution of a character. Dick Grayson is all of that. He is everything about the DC universe in one.
No, I can concur. This is part of why I love DC so much, and this is I guess this is a really nice sort of point to go to wrap up this 52 episode epic discussion about all these characters. Yeah. Is that okay? I didn't like that my top 10 had a lot of characters from the same sort of families, right? I was trying to even minimize that a little bit when I noticed it, but then I thought, why is that? Why do I feel that way? It's because these characters end up with such great legacy and supporting characters that you end up caring about almost as much, or in this case, more than the original character. That's part of what makes DC is the legacy. It's the connections. It's the relationships between them. And would I love Barbara Gordon as much if there wasn't a Dick Grayson? Would I love Dick Grayson as much if there wasn't a Batman? Would I love they all build each other up. There's a pyramid kind of thing going to it, with obviously Red Hood at the top for Connor.
There's a network of characters, and I feel when you try to compartmentalize them all, and no, you're over here and you're over here, and you can't interact with these guys over here, it doesn't make for great world building, and it makes the universe feel fractured.
At the core, that was the problem with the New 52, was that they literally, when it got to solicits, they called things, this is this family, this is this family.
Yep, the dark.
Yeah. But they never interacted outside of their families, except for very, very rare occasions. Yeah. And that was the real problem.
Yeah. Well, that's why it was awesome when it started to wind down, and you had the Grayson series, and there's that whole issue about him and Superman. Yeah. And you're like, oh, yeah. Even in the New 52, they still have a relationship because he's,
and by the way,
the kid partner.
Never underestimate that shot of the entire of one of the families in the same panel. All the Bat family, all the Super family. Happened with Super family recently in action when he was collecting them all.
Yeah.
Or he had a vision of them all, rather. It wasn't so much that he was collecting them yet,
but they were all there.
Yeah. Like, whenever that happened, because, I remember, back in that sort of really special Batman time, when Dick was Batman, Bruce just came back, we had Stephanie Brown, Oracle was Babs, Cassandra was, I think Black Bat was what she was going by at the time.
Yeah.
And you had Red Hood, you had Nightwing, you had all these, or Dick was Batman, but whatever, right? And there was just a shot, and Damien was there, and it was all the family together, and I think maybe Kate was there as well, and it was like, holy shit, there's just like this big extended family, and Superman has that, Flash has that, Green Lantern has that now, they all have it. Wonder Woman oddly doesn't have a family, but I guess that kind of works for her, because she's this
she is this outsider, isn't it?
Yeah, I tried to have her on my list because I really love Rucka.
Yeah, she was in contention for number 10 for me, but ultimately I decided against because
it felt hollow to me.
It felt like I was putting her there because I felt like I was supposed to put her there rather than because I really felt it.
That was the same. It's like, obviously Wonder Woman is she's part of the Trinity of DC. She is up there, and that is indisputable. But I felt like I don't have that same connection to her that I do any of these other characters.
And that's ultimately what I did.
Hey, that said,
I definitely couldn't have put that on there. If by the same logic, I would have had to have had Bruce Wayne Batman on there.
Yeah, I mean, that said though, a few more runs like this one, and maybe my connection to her grows stronger.
That's the thing. None of this is set in stone. These things can change with good stories.
And for the record, she was in contention for 10, so she's like number 11 or 12 or 13, like in that range.
Yeah, she's probably in the 15 to 20ish range for me. Yeah, I'd have to ballpark it. I'd have to actually.
Yeah, I'd have to sit down and think about it. Same with the villains. I didn't want to knock any of these off for a villain. As much as I probably like the Joker more than at least Jessica Cruz. Sure, it feels weird to.
Yeah,
so I stayed away from it
because I really wanted to put Catman or Deadshot on there too, as more obscure. From Secret Six, which was a story that I love. But...
I think off the top of my head, I'd have to really think about to do a full list, but I'll give you like 3 off the top of my head: Joker, Eobard Thawne, and Sinestro. Those are my 3, and then I'd dive deeper after that.
Yeah, Lex Luthor, Poison Ivy, Captain Cold.
Oh, Lex, and Cold. I like Captain Cold. I'm not as big in Poison Ivy as you guys are, but I mean she's good.
I think
that's because you hate the environment. You don't like to go outside like we do.
I actually think Poison Ivy's at her best when she's not a villain. It's when she's with the other Sirens. I think she's at her absolute best then.
I like when she toes the line because I like her and Two-Face. They could have been good guys.
Yeah, she just goes about the wrong way.
Let's shut up because top 10 villains might very well be the 100th episode discussion. So let's just cut this in the bud right now. All right, there we go. We done?
Yeah,
did we finish?
We
finished. All right,
I think we did. I mean,
4
hours after we started recording.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell people if they're interested in that story, it's called Super/Bat from Superman Batman.
All right, cool.
And it's issues 53 to 56 of that first volume, I think.
Cool.
So check that out.
Wrap up stuff then. Okay. So first things first, let's announce the book we're doing for the 5th week this month. The trade we're going to do, because obviously there's less books in the 5th
Legion
week.
of Superheroes! Yeah, we did it, guys.
Actually, Matt's jumping ahead here. He's trying to rig it. In fact, Teen Titans, the Judas contract, not only won it, won with 100% of the vote. So clearly, that's what our
patrons
you guys
want to hear, isn't it?
Yeah. So Teen Titans Judas contract is what we're going to talk about on the 5th week after the main issues for the week. So if you want to also read it as well, so you can, if you've not read it before, you can join in.
That'll be the episode coming on the 3rd of June, just so you've got a nice date for when you've got to have it read by.
Yes, that sounds about right. So that's happening. So keep in mind, patrons vote in that if they're in the $5 tier or up. You also get some bonus content on Patreon if you're in that tier. Just this week, Connor did a written review of the new Dragon Age comic, the issue 1. Coming this weekend. Oh, my cats are chasing around. They're getting restless. It's been too long. Coming this weekend, me and Connor are going to have a review of the Power Rangers Pink trade paperback, which is the 6-issue miniseries about Kimberly after she already left the Power Rangers. So if that sounds of interest, me and Connor are going to do a video review on that. Me and Matt are going to be doing an issue 20 review of Archie, which sounds random, but we're going to keep doing it month to month.
Sure.
and and me and Connor are also looking at the main Power Rangers series as well to start doing that issue to issue. And these two do have Star Wars plans. We're just waiting until things calm down after another week or two before kicking things out.
Connor keeps telling me to read Dr. Aphra, and I keep telling him no. But
there's a crossover.
Winning. I know. That's why I haven't read it yet. I hate you.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Look, last time I told you to read something and you said
I know. I hate you. That's why I hate you.
So, that's bonus content for non-DC stuff that we're doing. And obviously there's other issue ones that we're going to try, and we're doing Black Magic next month at some point, the first trade. But so that's all that stuff's in the $5 tier. The voting in the weekly best book, best art stuff polls, that's in the $1 tier. So if you want to help us out, you want to support the podcast and everything else we do with the movies and stuff, head over to patreon.com/MailedFuzzTV and see if you fancy doing any of that stuff. I'll also add, actually, and
this gets longer every week, I swear.
No, this is just a one-time thing, because I had this thought. Obviously, this is a podcast. We have an audio version that goes on our audio feed, and a lot of people, listen to us that way. We do all of our other reviews just as videos on YouTube. I'm just curious if you would like us to put the Wonder Woman review when we do it as an audio in the podcast feed for the comics folk. Just let us know. Tweet at us, messages on YouTube or even Patreon. Because we can do that. It's easy. I could just take the audio from the review and you get it as an audio podcast like this.
This is the Wonder Woman movie.
Yes, Wonder Woman movie. Yes. In a few weeks' time when we review it for YouTube, we could take the audio and put it in as an audio episode bonus, if you will, on the feed.
I need that to be good.
If you want to. Keep in mind that we did hate Batman v Superman and we did hate Suicide Squad. But that said, Rucka said it was good, so fingers crossed.
He's also
question is, what did Rucka say about BVS?
I'd have to go and find out.
But yeah, that's the real test.
That's a good question. That is a really good question. But here's hoping. So that may be more negative than we usually are about the books. But here's hoping. So let us know if you want. If the audio folk who get the audio, obviously if you watch this on YouTube, you don't care. You're going to watch it on YouTube anyway. That's how you watch us. But if you want it on the audio feed, it's very easy to do. To put it in as like a separate audio file. So let us know. But that is us. That brings an end to this mammoth 52nd episode. Thank you very much for sticking around. I hope that extra stuff was enjoyable. I hope the discussion and debating was fun. By all means, celebrate with us. I don't know. Play a drinking game along with the podcast, and every time I make a joke about Red Hood or Connor Kent, take a drink.
Man, I'm not sure if I'm even brave enough to do that. Especially not in this 4-hour long epic.
To be fair, I mean, it's kind of stupid that I said that at the end of the show. They'd have to go back to the start and go, right, let's start that 4 hours again.
Anytime I bring up Wonder Woman issue 8,
yeah. You can do that going forward. Yeah. Matt brings up Wonder Woman issue 8. That's 3 fingers. Red Hood joke. That's just 1.
All right. What about my Connor Kent jokes? They're pretty good.
Problem. Things I've learned today.
I think if it's just a basic one drink, if it's got some thought into it, we'll call it a 2.
If it's a cool setup, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I get you. But no, thanks so much, guys. We've made it a year. We made it to 52 episodes, and we appreciate everyone who watches or listens. It means a lot to us, so thank you very much. Let us know what you thought of this week's books and stuff in the comments below on YouTube, where you can tweet at us. Like I say, all that stuff. See, I can't even speak now. It's been such a long show. So thank you very much. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz. Individual Twitters at Wibble89 for me, at ConnorRyan94 for the Ginger, at MattofSteel57 for the big bear with the goatee and the glasses. That is us. Thank you very much. Do you know what I hate? I hate how our lighting makes both me and Matt also look a little bit ginger in the beard. I hate it. I hate it with a passion.
Okay, mine is. I do have a ginger beard.
Yeah, lots of people have a ginger beard. That's not uncommon.
That's fine. It's in my bloodline. I try to quell it. They can't. It's fine. It's fine.
You sure it's fine, Matt? I've got a sneaking suspicion. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. I guess it's fine in the same way Zack Snyder's films are fine.
Nah, I feel like that's not.
Right, Heat Vision, he'd be dust right now. Just saying. All right, let's get out of here. I gotta eat.
Yeah,
that was a good plan. Thank you very much for watching and listening, guys. We appreciate it. Happy 52. We will see you next time. Never get lost in the Speed Force.
Connor Kent's real.